Steel boots stomping, crashing the floor. Two wild Yinzers kicking through the door. Loud like a jag off at a pins game fight. Brace yourself, this ride ain't polite. Two Dum Yinzers, loud and proud. Heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice. Tales from the burg with a hint of mayhem. Pierogi powered, nothing can constrain them. Knocking back stories like an icy cold brew. You never know what these two might spew. Two Dum Yinzers, loud and proud. Heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice. From the bug with a hint of mayhem. Pierogi powered, nothing can constrain them. Knocking back stories like an icy cold brew. You never know what these two might spew. Two Dum Yinzers, loud and proud. Heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice. Rivers collide where the laughs always flow. Black and gold thunder everywhere they go. The madcap kings breaking every mold. With two Dum Yinzers, the stories don't get old. Two Dum Yinzers, loud and proud. Heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice.
Aloha, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to the show. Let me know if you can hear me because my machinery was just effing up on me. Just let me know that you can hear me. That's all I need. That's all I need. Just let me know if you can hear me. If you can't, let me know, and I will fix this ASAP. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Do you hear me, Mike? Do you hear me? Can anybody hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. I guess it's all that counts. Just kidding. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the show. Lots of things to get into today. Jeez, oh man, there's a lot of things to get into. And it was not the Monday that I think that we were all hoping for. Thank you, stranger. I appreciate you greatly. Thank you, Miss Pittsburgh, as well. Everybody, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome back. This is episode 878 of the Two Dum Yinzers. Your love is like a roller coaster, baby. I want to ride. This is the story of the Pittsburgh Steelers for the 2025 season. The ups, the downs, the in-betweens, a whole lot of stuff going on. Look, it's little Tater Tot. What's up, Tater Tot? We had a lot of stuff to get into today. And listen, I'm not going to do what it is a lot of these other teams did the past couple of weeks, how they cried and cried and cried and cried about these penalties. I'm going to be honest with you. The penalties are very consistent across the league right now. And if you got to take the good with the bad, you got to take the bad with the good. Fact of the matter is we wasn't going to get all these odd penalties in our favor for the rest of the season. So, you know what? It be what it be. We didn't play well enough to win the football game. And a penalty at the very end of the game certainly shouldn't be what we go back to and why this football game wasn't won. There was a lot of things before that. To be very honest with you, there was a lot of things before that. And going back to last week's game, as John just put up, DK Metcalf he's screwing us, guys. Say what you want. If this would have played out, of course we would have skimmed right by it. However, DK Metcalf being out screws us. It screws us big time. It screws us going into next week. I at this point, I mean, we would have been better off just keeping George Pickens, right? I mean, these are the antics that we got rid of him. Come on, DK punched a guy in the face. Excuse me. These are the things that we complained about Pickens for. We get rid of Pickens, who gets better numbers anyway. However, this be where we be. A lot of things during the course of the game didn't go the way we wanted it to, but I got to give the Browns credit. They have the number one pass defense in the league, and I made it a point last week to talk about that as well. I wasn't going to let that go unknown because they have the best pass defense in the league. So you got to put that in consideration. We'll get into that a lot more, guys. But what does this do to your confidence? What does this do for the morale of the troops? What does this do for you heading forward, guys? Because the Pittsburgh Steelers do take on the Baltimore Ravens at home next week for all the marbles. After the Steelers lose 13-6 to the Browns yesterday, this game on Sunday night, which I got to be honest with you, I think you got to be crazy if you think that this wasn't going to happen this way. I'm just saying. 15 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe not. But at the end of the day, as bizarre and weird as this year has gone, and even in the past couple years since Vegas jumped into bed with the NFL, a lot of games have been very bizarre. I think we could all acknowledge that. Again, I'm not blaming it. I'm just saying I acknowledge it. And that's why I'm not going to get pissed about because for one, how many times can you throw to MVS and the guy's running wrong routes in the end zone? Under any other circumstances, Aaron Rodgers is running around with his eyeballs popping out of his head. But he kept going to the guy after he failed to turn in. Very next play, he went to the guy who failed to turn in on his route. On the next play, he went to the same exact guy. So again, as I do want to say, you're right, Steeler Freak. Why watch them? But I'll get to that point here in a second. But if you watch that play, you had a wide open Kenneth Gainwell, whose numbers went down this game drastically, if you will. For whatever reason, they stopped going to the guys that could actually do something, and they start going to MVS, who's been kind of sketchy at best. Yes, he catches some balls, but yes, he drops some balls, things like this as well. A lot of things. I'm not going to blame it on that either. Again, Cleveland has the number one defense in the league. I think, again, without going to the again, I'm not going to go to the crying route. I acknowledge when it was working in our favor that officiating has been particularly queer, for the lack of a better term, for this season, last season, and a little bit before that. So again, we're going to take it as we will. And again, I think you got to be kind of crazy if you didn't believe that this game between the Ravens and the Steelers coming up Sunday wasn't supposed to be a raid. Come on. At the end of the day, if they are pulling strings, this went exactly how it was supposed to go. So anything moving forward, we're going to get into that a whole lot more later, guys. But we are going to talk a little bit about this game today with the Browns, as there's a lot of things to talk about. And I'll get to the one play, the one play that cost the Steelers this game. One. And it wasn't the last. Nor was it even the second half. But we'll get to that in a lot more today. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome back, guys. This is episode 878. We are throwing how's your morale? How you feeling going into this game? Do you feel like I do? You think that this was supposed to happen? And we're probably going to beat Baltimore next week. Again, a lot of things to talk about between now and then. However, we're going to throw a poll up on the terrible board. Do throw your opinion up there, guys. After what you've seen yesterday, then after what you've seen the 3 weeks prior, then after what you've seen the rest of the season prior, what do you think, guys? We're going to throw this poll up. Mike is going to throw it up. Do make sure you get on there and let us know what your opinions are. Do you think that we're going to beat the Ravens? Do you think we're going to lose to the Ravens? We'll have that up there. If he doesn't already, he will have that up there ASAP. Guys, get in on this poll. I'm kind of curious to see what everybody's thinking. I know what I'm thinking, and I know we're going to talk about it all week long, and we're going to get into it. We're going to figure out what it is we got to do to beat the Ravens, and we're going to get ready for this holiday, guys, as 2025 is coming to an end here in the middle end of the week. This, of course, is 12/29/25. We are slowly working our way to the new year, guys. We knew it would be here eventually, but here it is, finishing out the year. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. A lot of things to get into today. I'm going to get to the board here, and then we're going to get to, come on, there's a lot of things we got to talk about in this game. Miss Pittsburgh, good afternoon, everybody. Here we go. That's right. Here we go. And then you know what? I'm sticking with that. She also says, terrible, terrible day. Steeler Freak says this should be good. Tortilla, we might as well forfeit next week. Tortilla, what's up? John, Miss Pittsburgh, great to see everybody. Also, Mrs. Lindsay, I do want to say good morning to you. Good afternoon to you as well. Miss Pittsburgh, she says Baltimore's going to put our asses to sleep. Steeler Freak says, I have been writing time. Will tell about this team all year. Well, the time has come. You know what? The time still has to tell. Unfortunately for us, the season continues. It didn't eliminate us from anything. Yes, we did have the table tilted in our favor in every aspect of everything all year, being 4-1 when Baltimore was 1-5. Going into the last 3 games of the season, being up 2 games in a tiebreaker, and now coming down to this. It's still time will tell. And again, Jekyll and Hyde rear their ugly heads once again, guys, as they did all season. No difference. Let's also go to RB, my man. What up, RB? Always great seeing you on a terrible board. Win, lose, draw. RB, what's up, brother? He says, acknowledge your 2025 two Dum Yinzers, pick'em world champions, bow to my feet and kiss the ring is what he's saying. Do we got, what about, is there another week on there? I didn't look. Is there a whole nother week? What's going on with that? Did you win? I'm not sure. I haven't pulled up the pick'ems yet. I don't even know how I did. But I will certainly go over them tomorrow. But always great to see RB. Feel the Steel, my man. He says, what's up, Watt fans? Teflon Don sucks, is what he's saying over there. Also, Lindsay says, I just came to distract myself and talk shit to Tater Tots. Hey, that's cool. That is fine with us, man. We you have a special spot on this show. You truly do. Stranger, he heard. Okay, Miss Pittsburgh, I thank you for that as well. Feel the Steel says Teflon Don couldn't whoop the pooper's ass. Teflon Don sucks. You know what? We have some numbers that may prove you're right, guys. A lot to get into today, of course. RB says this in all seriousness. The fucking game was the game plan was awful. The entire offense was ran on the goal of not letting. The entire offense was ran on the goal of not letting Garrett get a sack. They don't turn it over, though. Then winning was, you know what I mean? It's interesting because I had said to Mike yesterday before the game started, I said I would rather give up 30 sacks to Myles Garrett and win this football game. I hope they don't get goofy and continue to basically do what they did yesterday. And Aaron said they didn't, and Mike Tomlin says they didn't do anything specific. They didn't sell out the Myles Garrett that whole narrative. So we'll get to that and a whole lot more again as the day goes on. Right here, Steeler Freak says this. Rodgers shows his age against a real D with a pass rush. With pass at 39 attempts for only 168 yards, he is done and can't compete against the elite. You're probably right. You're probably right. Tater Tot, he says, hello, darkness, my old friend. Groundhog Day, brownies. What's up? What's up, Tater? Nice to see you. Whatever. Tortilla says, I'm just done. We win 3 games in a row, but TJ almost dies and DK fights a fan. Then we lose against the Browns. This team doesn't deserve to play in the postseason. You know what? You're making sense. You're starting to make some sense. Tortilla Internation says, Steeler Freak, the master of self-fulfilling prophecy. Steeler Freak says this, the word is out on DK. The Steelers continue to take on mental cases, and it never turns out well. Again, why didn't we just keep George Pickens? Well, this is why we got rid of him. And now the guy we brought in to replace him did the exact same thing. He acted up and effed this team for the final 2 weeks, the two most important weeks of the season. With that being said, let's move on. Tortilla, we have gotten every call in our favor, and we still would have lost. Steeler Freak City Nation. I live in reality, not fantasy BS land. Tater Tot says this: 6 teams against a team that is tanking. Tell me about this year's Super Bowl. You know what? And it's funny. And listen, I'm gonna address Tater Tot because again, he's fair. He's not being a super douchebag like he could, and I would expect somebody from Cleveland to be. But you're right. 6 points against the best passing defense in the league is certainly a right on mark, if you ask me. But again, this tells a tale because if we go to the playoffs right now, the team will be facing right now would be the Houston Texans, and their defense is even scarier than what Cleveland's is. So again, a lot of things to get into this week, guys. A lot of things to get into, and again, a short week with the holiday here. But you know what? We're gonna get it. We're gonna do it, and that's just the way that it is. That's just the way that it be. Tater Tot. Tortilla, he says, and we're still giving him his guaranteed money. Like one day we reward idiots, the next day we don't. Right? What's the deal? What's the deal? You got rid of DK because he was he was a bit of a troublemaker sometimes. Then you bring in this guy, he gets into trouble. I mean, I've never seen George Pickens punch a guy in the head, but we're going to give him his guaranteed money. So again, the reasons things don't change on this team are the reasons things don't change on this team. I'm just saying, guys. Tyrone, my man, he all the way from he was up in Cleveland yesterday for the game. Tyrone, my man, he says, I'm just popping in the show. Love my dogs. Will love you too, brother. I'm cool on all Steelers shit, completely live chatter, whatever. I don't care anymore. Mark Malone, yeah, dude. You know what? It's certainly not helping. Certainly doesn't help. It changes the whole dynamic, as a matter of fact, without DK in there. So again, what are we doing? Tortilla says, yes, Cleveland did. They won their Super Bowl, whatever. And again, listen, I learned this famous, however, very accurate quote a long time ago from a very, very, very smart person. Sidney Dean. Even the sun shines on a dog's ass some days. And that's what happened, guys. You lose division games. It happens. Sidney Dean from White Men Can't Jump, of course. Wesley Snipes. But, Tater Tot, you think that great New England team never lost to the Dolphins during the regular season? It happened. You think they never lost to the terrible Bills during the regular season? It happened. You know what? Even the hapless Jets managed to beat them. That's what happens in a division. And again, I got to be honest with you. If you didn't think that the Steelers were if this game wasn't going to be a marquee matchup in Week 18 with Vegas involved, guess what, guys? Vegas is in it for the money. What would have been the value of this game if we would have wrapped up the playoffs yesterday? Again, I'm not saying that there's something shady going on. I'm just saying I know from every game that I've seen this year, they want interesting and good football and interesting and good narrative, and that is what they got for Week 18 of the season. Whether the referees, I'm not even going to talk about referees. It is obvious that they are again equally as bad the whole way across the board. It screwed us. It helped us. Everything in between this season. So again, I'm going to spare the referees today, whether they deserve it or not. But the referees did not cost the Pittsburgh Steelers the football game. Was that a bad call at the end? It was. And again, I'm not even going to cry about it because there's nothing to be done. What are you going to do? But I do know this. Kenneth Gainwell was wide open right to Aaron's left side of the field, wide open, when he already had it in his mind he was going to MVS 3 plays in a row. After MVS continued to misroute the pattern, and it be what it be. We took the L because of it. And again, that wasn't the reason that we lost the football game. A lot of things to get into today. Everybody. Welcome back to the terrible Monday on the Two Dum Yinzers show. Lindsay says, tell me how your Super Bowl beating the Steelers. Right. Little Tater. Stranger says, I appreciate that the refs are equally as bad for all, but if I had messed up as often as I'm not sure they're messing up. Again, I think it's safe to say they're calling penalties different. How many times have you seen offensive pass interference in 3 consecutive games, in your life watching the NFL, especially just, watching your particular team? Again, they're calling different. And I'm not sure how that's playing into it, but calls are certainly being called that are, again, I'm not going to make this about the refs. It's not about the refs. That is way beyond this point. We got a lot more football to play, but we will get into that all. Tater says, you didn't end anything, Tater, you goofy nut. You tater tard. RV, he says, I watched the last 2 Ravens games. The amount of guys who are just afraid to even break down and hit them is alarming. They avoid even getting into position. If we had any role coaches, they'd notice this. Lindsay says, you didn't end shit. That was the Tater. Tyrone, he says, I'm just over it. LOL, what a waste of my time. Richard says the standard is still the standard. What's up, Richard? Or what's up, Tyrone, Lindsay, everybody? I do want to say welcome to Stranger, Tater, everybody on the show today. Feel the Steel says, I'm sorry, Tortilla. Tortilla says, if our season is over, why are we playing for the division, stupid ass? Tater taught. Phil the Steel said the standard is the standard. Armax says, howdy. What's up, brother? Tater Tot says, we own you. Again, it just comes back to that little retarded brother shit. You know what I mean? Every once in a while, they beat us, and it's like they get mouthy, and you know what? Whatever. Blah, blah. Steeler Freak says this, not the rig shit again, and why watch then? A good point. Richard says, we don't live in our fears, and we never throw in the middle of the field. Tyrone says, hey, let's throw it to MVS. The throwing it to the MVS was a big part of the way that game ended, of course. We'll get into that and a lot more. Tortilla said, you don't even own your stadium. And you know what? These Browns are trying to get a dome. Come on. How retarded is this? Let's give the worst team ever a dome. If there's anybody least deserving of something like that. But anyway, Tater taught Grandpa throwing 3 times again. Well, how many times did your best sacker ever get to our grandpa? How many times did that happen for you? I'm pretty certain they were pretty sure that was going to happen yesterday. If our guy is such a grandpa, the guy that you believe should be the leading sack leader for a season, which he might not even get it. If Baltimore or Cincinnati's smart, they'll do exactly what we did in a sense of protection. But again, we'll get to all that and so much more this week. Go up a little bit right here. Lindsay says you don't even know how it feels to compete. I know. When was the last time Cleveland? Last time they completed in the division was almost 40 years ago. 40 years ago. So again, let it slide right off with this guy or gal, whatever it is. We don't know, but whatever. I'm going to go right here. Treestop says, I love the caption because this loss was on the players. It sure was. Well, Treetop, stick around. There's a lot that's going to be said today. And Treestop also says Roger was completely inept. And again, it was the number 1 pass defense in the league. So again, yes, it was the Browns, but you gotta keep that in the back of your mind. Armax says this, star corner held MVS. That's exactly. What's that guy's name? I don't even remember. Ward. Denzel Ward. So again, that's why Rod threw it his way. But Armac, there's gonna be so much more. But I agree. Okay. Tortilla, he says, I don't care if we win a playoff game this year. I'm not watching. He says, I'm not even watching. Tater Tot says this, we have Super Bowl defense and high school offense. It's got a good defense. I give you that. Again and again and again. I don't deny it. And I said that last week. And as a matter of fact, I said it's one of the best defenses in the league. So absolutely, Armac. Ben still to this day owns Cleveland. He's been gone for almost 10 years. Tyrone says, but it's all good, my brother. He says, I'm out, man. This team never going to a game again for a while. I'm so good on this franchise. LOL. Now we play Ravens for the division. It's a nighttime game. And also remember, Tyrone did make the trek up to Cleveland. So I'm feeling what he's feeling. I've been to playoff losses in my life in my own stadium. So I couldn't imagine how it was at a opposing team stadium. Just a loss in general to that team anyway. So I feel for you, Tyrone, but you have a great day, my man. You know we're always here, sir. Armax says Knicks just beat the Cavs. You know what? The Penguins outscored the Steelers yesterday. As the Penguins win their game against the Chicago Blackhawks, they even had 7 points that you get by 1 point each. They managed to outscore our Steelers, so I wouldn't get too excited there, Tater Tot. Our hockey team outscored our football team. So, and they did, Lindsay, yes, win only, I thought it was like 1 or 2, but 4 games apparently. So there you go. Feel the Steel says, wait, Steelers players choking? That can't be possible. Richard says this, you could feel the game was over in the middle of the first quarter. Interesting. I don't know if you're wrong. RB says also, did anybody notice the wounded ducks flying around the mistake by the lake? Sanders spirals are so loose they made Bonnie Blue blush. Love that Bonnie Blue. Tater Tot, look at, and this is how dumb Tater Tot is. He still thinks he ended our season. If you didn't think that they wanted this game, Tater Tot, I don't know what to tell you. This game coming up this weekend, your game was kind of irrelevant, and it wasn't. Believe me, we would have liked to win, but to think the way you're thinking, I do think it's a bit skewed. Let's move forward a little bit here. Tortilla, I swear, Browns fans. I know. That's what I'm saying. You got 4 wins, guys. I would certainly worry about your team right now more than again. Even those great New England teams lost to the Dolphins during the regular season every now and then. It happens. It's football, especially in today's NFL. Estad, what's up, man? He says, Estad, this was a Tomlin special. Lose to a double-digit loss. I have a lot of numbers we're going to get into. Estad, I do want to say welcome to the show, and I'm thinking I'm right there with you. Steeler Freak says this. He says, Tater Fart, bring it. I wouldn't take Sanders. The Browns and their fans were sinners in a previous life. I wouldn't take Sanders if my life depended on it. I'm going to be honest with you. Lindsay says, still my team, period. That's it, man. I'm just a little, I'm not, what is it? What do they always say? I don't hate you, but I'm just mad. I'm upset with you. That's all. Richard saying, fire Tomlin. Estad says it will be a good game versus the Ravens. Our run D has, you know what? Our run D looked really good against them last time we played them, and weren't we without harm in that game? I think that we were. I think. Tater Tots putting his pride colors across the screen. There we go. Feel the steel. Steeler players choking. Get the F out of here. Teflon Dawn sucks. Armac. He says, how about them Cavs? Tater Tot. Mark Malone. We can't treat the Fry Daddy like leper next week. You know what? Fry Daddy was getting making big waves and big plays and moving the ball. And, you keep going to the Aaron Rodgers wanted MVS to catch that ball. No two ways about that. Again, with the wide open KG on the opposite side of the field. Wide open. I have the picture. I could get it to Mike and put it up on the screen. It literally, Kenneth Gainwell was wide open in his clear left sight. And if you haven't seen that shot yet, do yourself a favor and look it up. But and again, Pat Freiermuth with 2 huge plays. Again, I'm questioning some of the things that happened, but again, a lot to go in, a lot to get into, guys. So let's get through this. Cavs are in transition since what, the 1980s. Estad said the script is set. Sunday Night Football. Absolutely. As we've been going on about, and again, I don't know the extent of what the referees are doing in this league, but the league is not the same as it was 5 years ago and beyond. For my whole life, there's something different happening, and whatever it is, you've seen a piece of it last night because again, they want this game on Sunday night. You ain't going to take a game that you didn't know was supposed to be and make it your Sunday night marquee game. They want the Ravens, they want the Steelers, they want it all on the line. They want the rivalry. They want ratings. Guess what, Tater? It's all about money, and the Cleveland Browns don't make money, man. The Steelers and the Ravens make money. When them 2 teams play, it makes money, and when those 2 teams play for a playoff spot, it makes even more money. So if you need any more learning, let me know. I'll teach you how this thing goes. Tater, I will. You got to understand, I'm not against you. I see your flaws, and I empathize. Steeler Freak says this. I think they have a 1% chance to win the Super Bowl. I think the Texans would come to Pittsburgh, and the defense is intimidating for Houston. If you watch them play over the weekend, and I did, it is an intimidating defense they played on Saturday, and I got to be honest with you. You get these teams that have top defenses, we struggle, and I think rightfully so when you have no wide receivers. But again, I was told that shouldn't be a problem because we have Jonnu Smith. Tortilla, your whole city is in transition. Also, real Steelers. We do not deserve to be. I mean, probably not. Probably not real. And I do want to say welcome to Real Steelers on the terrible board. You're probably right. But in a year as weird as this, you know what? We're gonna go, and if we could beat Baltimore, we're gonna go and we're gonna try to see what we can do. And again, it's been a weird year. It's been an odd year. No two ways about it. Richard says this: John Harbaugh and Kevin Stefanski are both going to have their jobs next season, thanks to Mike Tomlin. Interesting. RB says I got a 5-game lead going into the last week. I almost have to not submit a lineup not to win. Dad says deserves got nothing to do with it. Phil says all he had to do was go to Cleveland with a great game plan and whoop the poopers. And again, Teflon Don fails. Don't blame nobody but coach. Armax says this: with DK, we deserve to be in the playoffs and can beat any team. Also, Dad says DK should be the water boy on Sunday night. He heard us, guys. Say what you want. Again, if we win yesterday, this sails right under the bridge, and we never talk about it again. He comes back for postseason, and we go from there. The fact that everything went the way that we didn't need it to go, this makes DK's situation a lot bigger, guys. Steeler Freak says this: Rodgers can't handle D's that can pressure him. He's done. And I got to be honest with you, even with that, it's a top defense in the league. Come on, nobody could deny that. The Cleveland defense is top rated, number one in the pass. I thought our offensive line did. I thought they did okay. We let up a couple sacks. We'll get into the numbers here in just a few minutes, but I didn't see much that I hated. Again, we're certainly used to what we're seeing for sure. Tortilla Rodgers with tunnel vision all game, bro. Didn't look through his progressions. He certainly didn't on that last play. I know that. DK screwed us. Lindsay's saying he sure did. And again, if we win, this is a whole different situation. We're not DK's name doesn't even come up today if we win yesterday. Armax says not at all. Tater, you're right. And here's the thing about me, Tater. I want you to understand this. Even you're a Cleveland Brown fan, I do feel that you have the capability to understand what I'm saying. I will admit it when I'm wrong. And a lot of times I want to be wrong. Because if I see something and I call it the way I see it and it's something I don't like, I want to be wrong. So one thing that you're going to get from me, Tater Tot, is you're going to get honesty. And I do want to say he did. Shedeur Sanders outplayed the longest tenured quarterback against one of the shortest new tenured quarterbacks got outplayed. And again, the Shedeur wasn't up against the number one pass defense either. But again, that credit goes to you. So Armax says tripping. Tortilla says Shedeur probably made 3 of the worst. And again, yeah, he didn't play great. Playing better than Aaron yesterday was I don't think it was a big accomplishment. Brian Pasquale, he says DK out, Washington out early. How the frig Fryer, your number one target? Isn't he your number one? You're right. It was to the very end of the game. I don't even think he got any passes earlier in the game, did he? Wide receivers, come on. The wide receiver room is nil. We'll get on that again. Yes, Dad. There was a break. There was a fracture. And I brought this up last week, how the things weren't really going that great outside of his big runs. I'm talking about Darnell Washington. You remember 3 weeks ago, it was concussion. Now it's a broken arm. He broke his forearm, guys. I mean, he could be back in the postseason, but as of right now, they have him marked as out for the foreseeable future. Beyond that, we don't know anything. Again, we'll get the full injury report tomorrow when Coach T comes on, and you can catch all the information live across the bottom of our screen tomorrow right here for the Mike Tomlin press conference, guys. But yes, Darnell Washington broke his forearm, guys. I wouldn't think a guy that big is this fragile, but here we are. Steeler Freak John says this: Sanders had luck, or the Steelers had bad luck. Part of this game, his throws were ducks. They weren't good throws by any means, to be honest with you. Steeler Freak says Rodgers is obviously running the playbook. That absolutely NFL rigged. Something's going on, whether it's rigged or whether the fact they just started calling it. They started really pushing the sports entertainment title on it. If that don't make, just ask them. I'm not blaming anything. Again, I'm not. There's no excuses for what happened yesterday. It has nothing to do with. Listen, if it is the NFL and if it is the referees, that's not where I'm going. If it is, it is. But I'm just saying, I'm not going to sit around like the Dolphins did for a week and a half. I'm not going to sit around like the Ravens did for a week and a half and blame referees. And again, I think our play at the end of the game held a little bit more water than those two plays. And again, a defensive play wouldn't have been. Anyway, that is the past, guys. Phil Steele, don't blame anybody but the leader. He says Teflon Don sucks. Follows it up by saying this: Sunday's a choker coach versus mediocre coach. Who wants it more? Is this the Choker Bowl on Sunday night? G-Skin, welcome to the terrible board. G-Skin says this loss was on purpose. The match, G-Skin, this is what I'm saying. Tater Tot, if you're capable of paying attention for more than 3 seconds, look at what G-Skin just said. This loss was on purpose. The matchup with the Ravens will get high ratings. Sports is entertainment, and they've really been pushing that sports entertainment. Again, I'm not blaming that. We're going to go through every reason why we lost, but also keep a close eye on what G-Skin's saying. I don't think, again, there might be something going on. Steeler Freak says this: so you invest what little time you have in something you believe is rigged. That makes no sense. You know what? People love wrestling, John. Listen, I get your point, but just off the top of my head, my first response to that was people love wrestling and they fill that stadium a couple times every week. So there's something to be said for that. Also, guys, I do want to say, as you come through the door, do hit that. There's a poll right on your terrible board. Get on there. Click whether you still have faith in the Steeler team. I mean, we were talking Super Bowl 3 days ago. Now the Jekyll and Hyde Steelers, they show up. Again, I think this game was destined to happen the way that it did. I'm not too upset just yet. We'll see how next game goes. But again, would it have been nice? Yes, would have been nice. Did it happen? No, it didn't happen. And again, we get another chance. That's the beauty of this. See, if Tater Tard was in charge, we would be done. But Tater Tard don't know what's going on. He thinks that we're out. We're still in it. So there's the beauty. Tater Tard got 3 wins on the year. We still have a shot at the playoffs. Don't let them get to you, guys. Do not let them get to you. Stranger says, how often have I seen blatant non-calls? Every week. And that's exactly why I'm not going to do it. And that's exactly why we're not going to do it today on the show or ever. Slag Heap, what's up? Welcome to the terrible board, Slag Heap. Slag Heap says, mediocre Mike, what up? Great to have you on the board. He says, Strangers, domes are for the weak. Not an AFC North team. Come on. AFC North, come on. A dome team in the AFC North, how weird. Field of Steel, no excuses. All Steeler coaches suck. Too many 3-and-outs and no discipline. Kenneth, hey, what's up, Kenneth? Always great seeing Kenneth Jones, my man, on the terrible board. Bro, I never wanted to believe it when I saw Duggar stopping the first touchdown. I knew think about that one, guys. And again, this isn't me saying this is why we lost, but again, pay attention to how Duggar played the only touchdown given up in this game. He turned his back away from the play. I've never seen anything like it. Now, this isn't a dumb guy. Kyle Duggar intercepted the ball in this game. Kyle Duggar scored a touchdown weeks ago in his first game here. He's not a dumb player. How he turns his back away entirely from the play and letting the guy score the only touchdown, again, makes you question. Again, I'm not going to sit here on this show and say these are the referees are why we lost. I'm not going to do it. And I'm not going to say the rigged narrative. But again, you know where I stand. I just think there's something going on. Whatever it is, I think 32 teams worth of fans might be able to agree on this one, guys. I'm just saying, hasn't it been a win or loss, guys? Screw whatever happened yesterday. Just as Steeler fans, I think we could all agree there's something odd going on with the NFL anymore and officiating, and just the way games are played out. I've never seen another pattern I noticed. Watch the early games. One thing did you notice? The underdogs were up big in all those games early. And I don't have the scores and games in front of me, but I'll pull them up later. One observation I made was all the underdogs were up big in all those games early. I'm watching the top corners. I'm watching the Steelers game, and it was Jacksonville was down big to Indianapolis, and it was like 10-0, whatever it was. It was a couple scores. And it's something I've been noticing. The underdogs are up big, keeps it interesting enough. And then the team that should win ended up winning, as Jacksonville did. And as again, I'll pull up the scores again. We'll talk a little bit more about it. Let me move on the board here. I don't want to get too far behind on the terrible board today. A lot of things to be said. No two ways about that. RMAX says we beat them 20, and we did beat them 23-9. Phil still says that, Ryan. Now I get to talk all the shit I want. I was right. Teflon Dawn going to F it up. I hope everything's going well for you, Phil. Yeah, I hope you ready for the New Year's, brother. Kenneth says all about making matchup next week. Make lots of absolutely. Nobody wants to listen. You have two teams that are division rivals, probably the biggest rivalry in pro sports. One of them, at least. And it coming down to that for a win and you're in. Whoever wins is in. Whoever loses is out. It doesn't get bigger than that. To think that again, it's the NFL's been different the past couple years. That's all I'm saying. Ever since Vegas jumped into bed, I'm just saying. And we've been saying it for years, so we are consistent with that opinion. So just in case you wanted to go back and look into that, Mark Malone, my man at Field of Steel, he says he needs a little watt power. Tortilla says, yeah, that's why I don't even want to watch next week. The NFL can't have week 18 games that don't matter when they're trying to add even more regular season. It's all about the bottom line. And that's the thing. I mean, John, if you think about it, I think the bottom line is ultimately the, at the end of the day, isn't that what everybody's shooting for, is that bottom line? So, again, I don't know. I'm not blaming it, but just saying it's a bit odd. Something is off. Tater Tot says, where's this Super Bowl? Well, we won 6 of them. Where's yours at? Where's any of yours? Have you ever made an appearance, Tater Tot? So, whatever. Let's see. And listen, I need you to explain that to me too, Tater Tot. Tater Tot makes this argument. Tater Tot says, fire Tomlin, your fans are can you make your best point to why you say that? Why the fans are joke because they aren't behind Tomlin? If you would. I'm curious to see what you say. I don't think that you're correct. I think that fans are accurate, and I have numbers, and I have lots of numbers to prove it. Let's go right here. Tortilla says Cleveland can only Google what a Super Bowl trophy looks like. Unless you're Tater Tot, he's cockeyed as can be. He can't even see the Google screen. Tortilla says y'all ain't never touching one. Lindsay says who the fuck said we were winning the Super Bowl? I never heard that here, but guess what? Still better than the Browns. Always better than the Browns. Always have. Always will. And then they go, well, you got all these Super Bowls in the 70s. Well, man, you haven't won any championships since it's been the NFL. Plus, we did win Super Bowls just not that long ago. The Browns. Come on, the Browns. Everybody. Tater Tot says you said yesterday's game was irrelevant and Vegas fixed the game. Well, in a way, it was. In a way, they possibly could have. So, and again, coming from a Browns fan who literally does nothing ever, I will just continue to roll along. Armax says I would trade Arthur Smith for Jim Schwartz. I would trade Arthur Smith for a pack of chewing gum at this point. I got to be honest with you. Tortilla, you cherry picking, bruh. Also, Steeler Frigaron is going to lay out numbers that should have Tomlin fired. I'm going to lay out my numbers that should have Tomlin fired. and I'm going to put the numbers right out there. I'm not just going to make stupid accusations and stupid claims as Tater Tot's doing. I'm going to give you numbers. Arthur Morgan. Arthur Morgan, I do want to say welcome to the terrible board, and he does say this. I would trade Arthur Smith for a used jugs machine. Tortilla says you'd probably have to attach a fifth for someone to even take Smith. The blame is all on Rooney. Steeler Freak is saying. Also, Field of Steel, I blame Teflon Dawn. Teflon Dawn sucks. Tater Tot says fire Tomlin, Rooney out. This chat is a laugh. You're right. We continue to laugh at your comments. You're 100% right. At least you are seeing things for how they are. Arthur Morgan says this fun stat: Mike Tomlin has only won a playoff game in 14 years, won a playoff game in 4 of his 18 years. Yes, we did actually have that up last week. I do think that, Arthur, but we appreciate that stat. Also, Tortilla says, to be honest, I'm more mad if we win than lose. Like a thief promised they'd never steal again. Kenneth Jones says Rogers, Duggar, and MVS all got a letter from the league with instructions. Rogers barely looked for Gainwell to go. You know what I mean? The fact that Gainwell's been such a big target for Rogers, and he was wide open to the left. I mean, by all means, pull it up, please. As, again, Rogers went to MVS in the corner 3 times on plays when MVS ran the wrong route and didn't do what he's supposed to. But anyway, that's, again, we're going to get in that and a lot more. Richard, the offensive play calling was terrible yesterday. I would agree. Let me go right here to Q684. Rogers lost the game. Arthur Morgan, NFL has been rigged since the 70s. Wake up, folks. Tortilla says, yeah, I'm changing my profile pic for real. Q684 says he was worried about not giving Miles his record and winning the game. That's what the narrative is, but I don't know. They're saying it wasn't. So Coach said that it wasn't. Aaron said it wasn't, but I think that we've seen some things in this game that might say otherwise. Also, Miss Pittsburgh, that is so true. I said the same thing. Tater said this. Tater says, guys, you were so wonderful. I love this show, and I love everybody from Pittsburgh. My Browns suck. I am here to admit it today. Thank you for that wonderful message on a terrible board. Tortilla says, DK was told to go hit the fan by the NFL. Lindsay says, your city is filled with rubbish. Complete rubbish, I say. Also, Arthur Morgan says this. Why is this loss a surprise, Tomlin? It's not a surprise, and I'm going to give that stat here in just a moment as well. Mark Malone, Tater will try to smoke that poll. Arthur Morgan says, I never talked Super Bowl, buddy. Also, Miss Pittsburgh, she says, I said it about the Saturday game that something was going on. Q, I also expected this. I knew it was going to be the Steelers. And again, Cleveland people will never get this because they're never in this situation. They just don't get it. They don't get it. Who wants them in any particular game? You know what I mean? Let's have this play out so the Cleveland Browns could play, guys. I don't know if we're ever going to see. I don't know. We certainly haven't seen it in the last 40 years. Tortilla says Tater only smokes meth after the Browns win, guys. Chill. It's not that often. Mark Malone, you know what they do to Polish boys in Cleveland. Q says this 684 defense was steady second half. Raw. I think the only point scored in the second half was a field goal. Am I right on that? 10-6, and it finished 13-6. So again, good point to Q. Also, Tortilla. Darius Slay was all over the field. Man, is my mic muted again? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Mike, can you hear me? Mike, can you hear me? Okay, Tortilla, you can hear me? All right, there we go. Mike went on. I think Mike just took a vacation. Let's see, where are we at? Here, right here. Darius Slay was all over the field yesterday. Tater. Tater, you were the one calling it rigged last week, so, you know. Q, I blame this game on Rogers. Tater says this. He says, Pittsburgh people, you are wonderful. I cannot believe you let me hang out here. Thank you so much. I swear to you, if I drop these Browns one day, I will be a Steeler fan. Well, you know what, Tater? We're here for you, brother. Ricky Diehard Sports fan. Ryan, are you trying to say the NFL is great? I'm not. And I'm making a point over and over and over and over to say that I don't think that that's what's happening. But I'm saying there's something odd going on. Do what you want with that. Arthur says you hold a team to 13 points. You should win that game about 100% of the time. It was a classic Steelers game, guys. I mean, whether you call it, some people call it a Tomlin classic, some people call it whatever you call it, but it wasn't a surprise. I got to say, I wasn't surprised by this. Kenneth Jones says Josh Allen missing an easy game, 2-point winning throw instead of tying the field goal last night. His throw was way worse than bad. Steeler freak John, I think the NFL has jacked up the rules that are up to the. I agree. This is what I'm thinking. Something is different in the officiating, and I'm not using this as an excuse why the Pittsburgh Steelers lost to the Browns or any other game that was played this year, or giving the credit to that's not what I'm doing. Again, I want to make a point over and over and over today to say that this is not what's being said on the show. Was the last play a penalty? Yes. Was and I'm not going to blame it on that. It's that's not the reason we lost. Could we have won if it wasn't? Maybe. I mean, the throw still seemed kind of high to where MVS's hands were, but again, we'll never know. So therefore, it's out of sight, out of mind. It's never going to happen. I think the NFL has jacked up the rules that are up to interpretation and weak ass part-time refs. If you think it is the new WWE, I don't think it's the new WWE. I've never said that, but I do know that the NFL is continuing to push the sports entertainment narrative for the first time in my life. There's always been sports, and there's always been sports entertainment. And I've heard the NFL referred to as sports entertainment more than I ever have in my life this year. That's all. I mean, if people keep saying, "Are you saying?" I'm saying what I'm saying. Anything beyond what I'm saying, I'm not saying much more. I'm just saying, if that makes sense. Let's go. Tortilla says this. He says they shouldn't have even scored 13, but you're not wrong. Ricky Die Hard. He says this. DK. He screwed the Steelers. Damn right. And again, Ricky, as I said earlier in the show, if we win this game yesterday, it doesn't even matter. This is water under the bridge, this DK story. But the fact of the matter is it went the way that it is, and it's going to go the way that it goes. It's massive. Why'd we even get rid of George Pickens? We might as well kept him and got the better numbers. Tater says I'd take him. Please take him. Please. And we keep saying this. We would give him in a heartbeat. I just don't know if there's anything that we would want from tainted Cleveland. But anyway, let's continue on here. Also, right here, Tortilla says Tomlin's in the Epstein files. Arthur Morgan says Brownies fans are so dumb they don't realize they can root for any team they want. That's what I'm saying. That's why he's tater tart. That is exactly why he's tater tart, Arthur. He came in as whatever the hell that name is. I don't even know what that is. What is this? Let me go back and find him. He came in as Tafster, but now he's tater tart. And that is exactly why is the Ravens fan part of the whole thing. Let's see what is right here. Mark Malone right next to Bill Cosby. Steelers or Ravens don't deserve to be in the playoffs. Ricky says Steelers and Ravens and Bucks and Panthers. Neither of those teams deserve. You know what? That division winner is going to be below 500 in that NFC division, that NFC South. So again, say what you want about our division. At least we'll be over. At least we'll have 10 wins if we do this. Baltimore, not as many, but again, that division is probably going to have a division winner under 500. Lindsay still think we can win and win a playoff. I still think we can win, and I still think we can win a playoff game. I do. Also, Tortilla, no, let me see. I got to go down a little bit right here. I'm going to go down to DJ Johnson's Shopping Sherlock. I do want to say welcome to the terrible board today. He says Steelers lost willingly. All want a AFC North. You know, there's something to that. I don't know if the Steelers lost purposely. I don't know. I don't know what happened. All I know is I know that the NFL benefits greatly from the Steelers-Ravens game being meaningful next week. Do what you want with that. If it's nothing, it's nothing. If you want to make something of it, make something of it. I don't know. I'm just saying, you know, if you're not blind, you see things happening. I don't know if we could make accusations. We could say what we think, but again, it's definitely officiated different than it was my whole life. So about 4 years or so, give or take, right around when Las Vegas jumped into bed with the NFL. Tortilla, what if we tie with the Ravens? Do we both get maybe Tater, maybe they'll give you the win. If we and the Ravens tie, there you go. Tater taught your team, they'll maybe hand them the win. How's that? That ought to keep you hanging on, brother. Steeler Freak, Ricky agree, those teams aren't going anywhere. Ricky Die says this, Steelers and Ravens limping into the finish. They are. I mean, come on. Merlin Mames, what's up? Back to the terrible board. Merlin says Rodgers would give up 5 sacks for a victory. Dumb narrative, losing 3 wide receivers. Absolutely. That is a dumb narrative. And again, yes, he throws the ball fast, but you know what? He throws the ball fast a lot anyway. He gets the ball out of there. So again, that argument, it's again is going to be something we don't know unless one of them come out and say it was. And right now, I know that Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers both saying that that wasn't the case. So again, we'll have to wait to see on that. And again, the Pittsburgh Penguins did outscore the Pirates yesterday. I just want to tell you that. I did want to say the Penguins 7, the Steelers 6. The Penguins 7, who gets 1 point per score, they did outscore the Steelers yesterday, 7-6. Steelers advance if they tie. John is saying. Ricky says the NFC Championship game is going to be the real Super Bowl. One thing about the NFC Championship game, it's going to be 30 straight years that the Dallas Cowboys ain't in it. We know that. You would have thought they would have had some kind of advantage getting the George Pickens deal. But anyway, again, a whole nother conversation, whole nother day. Tater says this. He says, people in Pittsburgh are so wonderful, and everybody on this terrible board are the best people and smartest people I've ever seen in my life. Thank you for letting me hang out with you guys. Hey, anytime, Tater. Q says this, I'd rather Rodgers give up a sack record for absolutely. And that's like I said yesterday. I told Mike, I would rather him get sacked 23 times and win than worry about and even put this in the back of everybody's mind that we can't let this one particular guy sack us. But again, at the end of the day, you know what? If Cincinnati takes the same approach, Myles Garrett's not even going to get the record. So again, that's something to watch next week as well. Wouldn't that be funny if he doesn't even end up getting it? Ricky says, Tater Tot, where's your proof stop the cap? Also, Tater Tot says, you guys are friggin' great. Thank you so much for allowing me to hang out with you on the show. Kenneth says, Tater Tot, Steeler fans are cool with you, but when you become one, many will call you names for your post opinions. Steeler Freak says this, the NFL is rigged. I would assume it would have set up Jackson for a Super Bowl to go with his wins. Or maybe if he was really an MVP, he would have earned a Super Bowl. Just saying. Tortilla says 33 M's to slap a motherfucker. Also, Mark Malone says, yeah, wasn't mad about DK at first, but if we lose next week, I cut his ass and draft 3 wide receivers, first 5 picks of the next year's draft. Merlin says this, just getting into a decent rhythm offensively and wide receivers get hurt or dumb DK. It was big. Again, we win this game, though. It goes away. Now we have a whole week to let it fester up in our minds about this DK situation. I blame DK more than I blame Cleveland for this loss. Kenneth says that Tortilla we get in anyway. I agree. I think we do win this football game this week. I just think we're a better football team than they are. They haven't looked good all year. They started 1-5. They're just not Baltimore. I think we win this game. I truly do, guys. Ricky says the NFL is not allowed to script the football games. I looked up the NFL would be in financial trouble, but ain't there loopholes and ain't there ways to get things done without ways for getting things done? I'm just saying. I bet you there's more stuff out there that's probably not on the up and up the way we think that it is in everyday life that wouldn't be considered. What's the word that you used? Not allowed, I guess you would say. Kenneth says we get in anyway. Q, it's no big deal if wouldn't be AFC North if it wasn't the Steelers for the exactly. The Ravens was just a setup game for this, guys. This next one's the big one. This is the one that they wanted. And guess what? At the end of the day, yes, we wanted to win yesterday, but you know what? At the end of the day, I want this too. I would love to beat the Ravens to get into the playoffs a lot more than the Cleveland Browns, to be honest with you. Merlin says, just so people know, taking a sack is not good. Tater Tard says this. What has Shador and Grandpa in common? They'll both be laying on the couch in January. What is jeez. Tyrone says this. Tater Tot, I'm gonna laugh when we beat the Ravens. Come back. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what? I think Tater Tot is just dumb enough. I think he will continue to come back, and I think he'll be here next week. There's something about this Tater Tot. He has some resilience. The Browns fans, they do. They can keep taking a beating and losing for 40 years, and they still keep coming back with that Cleveland wit. So you know what? Stranger says this: old as the Steelers defense is getting, I don't think drafting wide receiver with 3 of the first draft picks doesn't seem wise. Also, Ricky says whatever team comes out of the AFC is going to get destroyed and demolished, despite whatever team comes out of the NFC. Just like how the Eagles dominated the Chiefs. Well, the Chiefs aren't quite the Chiefs anymore. But I got to be honest with you. It's going to be interesting to see if those teams even qualify again, just the way the league is being played. Ricky, that's all I'm saying. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Eagles fall. I wouldn't be surprised to even see the Rams fall the way that this league has gone. And again, maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? We will see. One thing that we know is we will definitely see. Right here. Ricky says NFC clears the AFC and the AFC is weak. Feel the Steel says, no, I forgot. It's all Watt's fault. Also, Tyrone says, I still think we could beat the Ravens in our house. That's what I'm saying. I don't like the fact that it's a night game either, but it is in our house. We do have our crowd. It's the Steelers and the Ravens. And again, this is a team that we beat 9 of the last 11 times we played them. Take that and stuff that in your pipe and smoke it. We beat them 9 out of the last 11 times. We don't fear the Ravens by any means. Never have. Never will. We, come on. Stranger, I prefer Pittsburgh to Baltimore win the AFC North this year. I don't want the Ratbirds to the first to win the AFC North 3 times in a row. And Tortilla, fuck it, draft a whole new offense with all 12 picks. Guys, so much to get into today. Welcome to the show. Let's do it. Everybody's comments were great. Thank you for everything so far. This is some things that were brought up on the board as we've gone so far, guys. Let's get into it. Pittsburgh Steelers are 0-4-1. 0-4-1. That's right, 0-4-1 in the past 5 games against teams that were 5 games below 500. In the last 5 games, which were played in 2020, 2021, 2023, 2023, and 2025. The past 5 games, the Steelers played a team that was 8 games under 500. They lost. 2020, the Bengals were 2-10-1. Steelers lost. In 2021, Detroit was 0-8. 0-8. And the Steelers managed to tie. In 23, remember this little string of games? Cardinals 2-10, lost. Patriots 2-10, back-to-back weeks, lost. And this year, the lowly Browns, just 3-11. The Steelers lose. Those aren't good signs. But people will say, well, you know what? We got a coach who's never had a losing season. We also have a coach whose names never came up in Coach of the Year conversations either. Explain that. Also, Steelers were 4-1. Baltimore was 1-5. 2 games left. The Steelers were up by 2 games. And had a tiebreaker. And they managed to choke that all away. Get this one. Here's another one. Here's another one you're going to love. The Steelers are 19-0 all time. 19-0 all time against Cleveland in games where Pittsburgh doesn't turn the ball over and forces 2 turnovers. Well, that got broke yesterday. First time ever. Steelers are 19-0 against the Browns in games that we don't turn the ball over and we have 2 takeaways. We're 19-1 now. Coach T comes out and says this. Coach T says, I don't feel that the Steelers played poorly versus Cleveland. Coach doesn't feel that the Steelers played poorly versus Cleveland. Coach also says he has no qualms about targeting MVS on the last 3 plays of the game. No qualms with MVS being targeted on the last 3 plays of the game in a row. And also, here's one for you. Well, no. Well, let me get to my point, and I'm gonna explain to you why we lost. You ready? And if you've been familiar with the show and you've been here for a while, we've done a couple. What is today? 878. You'll know that I'm all for. Yes, Lindsay, he did say that. It's unbelievable. I could go through all these things again later. Guys, the way the game played out, if we don't, okay, let me just talk about the bad play to begin with. 4th and 1, second quarter. Let me see where I can find it. Right here, second quarter, halfway through the second quarter. We're down in the definitely in field goal range, 20-yard line. And we're on a 4th and 1. And instead of taking the points, we go for it. Okay, that's a thing right now. That's the thing that's going on in the NFL. This going for it on 4th down. I don't think that we're a good enough team that could consistently continue to do it and attempt it, but they're doing it. 4th and 1, 20-yard line. We haven't thrown the ball downfield at this point all game. All game. Middle of the second quarter, haven't thrown the ball down the field all game. 4th and 1 on the 20-yard line of Cleveland. We pass up the points. We say, you know what? We don't want the field goal. We're going to keep going. 4th and 1, a successful push situation we've been doing for the past month that for whatever reason they didn't use in this situation. They threw the ball down the field to Scotty Miller, 23 yards, 5 yards into the end zone. Again, they haven't went downfield all game at this point. 4th and 1, Cleveland's 20, pass up the points, throw the ball deep to the end zone over Scotty Miller's head, which was an overthrow. That, guys, in my opinion, is ultimately where this football game was lost. And let me explain. As the game gets to the 4th quarter, it is 6-10, 10-6. Cleveland wins, or Cleveland's winning. Let's say we kick that field goal. Now it's 10-9. All right, Boz did miss a field goal. That's a big part of it, okay? Yeah, you know, the missed field goal, that's a part of it as well. But let's just stick with what I'm saying here. 6-9. Now you're at the end of the game with your timeouts in the offense. You have a different game that you're playing now, providing they take the points early in the game in the second quarter. You kick that field goal. You take the points. Points are at a premium against a defense like Cleveland's number 1 pass defense in the league. Points should be at a premium. Halfway through the second quarter, kick that field goal, 20 yards. It's a 38-yard kick. Again, now going into the 4th quarter, your score is 10-9, Cleveland. Now, as time goes on, I'm looking down. Here we are at the end of the game with 1:40 left, a little over 2 left. Muth gets a 30-yard reception. Muth follows it up with a 12-yard reception, and they soon were in field goal range. Which means playing the clock right, running the ball a few times, making Cleveland use their timeouts. The game's a whole different game had we taken the points. It just was. It's now a 1-point game instead of a touchdown at the end of the game that we have to score a touchdown that allows Aaron Rodgers to continue to throw it to MVS as we've seen instead of KG open over here. Anyway, beside the point, it's never going to happen. It's done with. But if it's 10-9 at that particular point of the game, it's a whole different football game. You run the clock out, you kick the field goal, you let Cleveland run their burn their timeouts. Okay, they don't have them. Let's just say there's a little time left after we kick that field goal, which there probably would have been. Now they get the ball back and they have to drive the field. You put the burden on the rookie to win this game, the pressure on his shoulders with no timeouts. This is the bad coaching that I talk about. I'm not saying that these are the worst coaches that just do terrible things. And these decisions, and again, this could have been the offensive, whoever it was. It is all under the guise of the same person, but if you want them for the argument, was a call that was made that, again, you take them points in a game that you could clinch the playoffs, you could clinch your division, and you leave points on the field to bomb a ball 25 yards into the end zone over the head of Scotty Miller, who's played about 6 snaps this year. That point in the game, I knew the game was over. That point in the game, I said, if we lose, you could directly come right back to that particular play call. If Scotty Miller, he wasn't going to catch it. It was 6 yards over his head anyway. By the time he got there, he's definitely, come on. DK Metcalf, different story. So again, I myself can particularly go to one part of the game that I felt that the game was lost. You got to take those points. Again, once we say you treat the rest of the season like the playoffs, you don't treat Cleveland any different than you did Baltimore 3 weeks ago, Miami 2 weeks ago, whoever the hell we just beat, Detroit last week. Do the same things. Keep using Kenny. Keep using Muth, the guys that work. No, Jonnu Smith, who hasn't done shit this year, caught the ball. He got the ball 10 times in a row. We'll get into numbers in just a second. Again, I think this will all start making a lot more sense once we do start getting into some of the more specific numbers here. But let me take another moment to look around, make sure. Injuries yesterday, again, we don't know full extent on any of the injuries except for Darnell Washington does have a broken forearm, guys. Not saying he's done for the year, but probably out for this week, guys, as they wrap him up. But Darnell Washington, the big guy, two big injuries here in just a couple of weeks, guys. Again, he suffered the concussion a couple games ago, and then of course this possible a broken forearm. A broken forearm, guys. Never a good thing. Let me see what else we got here. All right, I guess I'm done with Tomlin. Let's get into the football talk, guys. I'm done talking coaches. Let's get into some of the numbers. All right, let me go here. Let me just. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's get into some of these numbers yesterday. Let's just go. We're going to blow through them, see what these numbers look like. Team stats, and also player stats. It's going to look a little something like this, everybody. All right, so for the game, the team stats weren't bad for the Steelers. They actually won time of possession. They actually won a few things in team stats that they don't generally do well in. As soon as this thing will let me pull it up, I swear I'll get into it with you. Let's go right here. All right, team stats look like this, guys. For the game, the Steelers total yards 291, the Browns 262. Passing yards, albeit the Steelers only threw for 160, the Browns only threw for 184. Rushing yards, the Steelers outrushed them 131-78. First downs, we had 15, they had 11. Third down efficiency, 3 for 15. They were 4 for 11. Fourth down efficiency, 0 for 3. The Steelers. I'm not a big fan of this going forward on fourth all the time. I just don't think we're a good enough team to go forward on fourth down all the time. But they're stuck on it for whatever reason. And a team like us that don't score a lot of points, you got to take the points. You got to get your points. We punted 5 times. They punted 4 times. Both teams got sacked twice. 65 total plays by the Steelers, 50 for the Browns. Steelers intercepted 2 passes for the only 2 turnovers of the game. They also win the time of possession 30 minutes and 39 seconds to 29 minutes, 21 seconds. Sorry. Field goals, we missed 1. We were 2 for 3. They were 2 for 2. And in the field goal, there was none. In the red zone. Red zone, 0 for 2 Steelers, and the Browns 0 for 1. Nobody, in fact, scoring in the red zone. As a matter of fact, there was only 1 touchdown on the day, guys, and it was on that play, that deep, weird, same part of the field that Kenny Gainwell's weird touchdown catch last week was, basically. And again, Duggar turns away at the last moment instead of defending the play. I'm not sure what that was all about, but that was how that played out, guys. Let's take a look at what some of the individual stats and numbers look like in this game. We're going to start right here with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers goes 21 for 39, 168 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Jaylen Warren, 12 carries, 64 yards. Kenneth Gainwell, his numbers go down for whatever reason. His reps, his touches, they go down in probably the biggest game. You win this game, you're in the playoffs. By all means, stop giving it to Kenneth Gainwell and don't throw it to a hot Muth and Let's throw it to the guy that keeps running wrong routes. But again, Gainwell, 7 carries, 26 yards. Connor Hayward, 2 carries, 26 yards, outperforming Gainwell on the day. His carries averaged 13 yards a carry. Gainwell only 3.7. Your leading receiver on the day by yards, Patrick Freiermuth. 3 catches, 63 yards. Scotty Miller, number 2, 3 catches, 25 yards. Valdez Scantling, who was targeted 9 times, caught 3 balls for 21 yards. Jonnu caught 5 passes for 18 yards. Darnell, 2 catches for 15 before he goes out with his broken arm. Adam Thielen, 2 for 14, drops one over on the left sideline. He shouldn't have dropped. And Kenneth Gainwell, only 3 catches for 12 yards. Again, his touches goes down in possibly the biggest game to this point. Duggar leads the way with 8 total tackles, 5 tackles, 3 assisted, 1 interception. Also, Jack Sawyer. Jack Sawyer with his 2nd interception of the year, guys. You got to like that. And also leading the way on the sack category for the Steelers, Alex Highsmith with 2 sacks on the day, getting a hold of Shedeur Sanders. He was on fire. Looked like he was shot out of a cannon a couple times. Warren and Gainwell both returning kicks for the day. Scotty Miller was returning punts. And Corliss Waitman, guys, 5 kicks, 5 inside the 20. 5 kicks, 5 inside the 20. So he played well. Again, we have game ball, we have grades, we have all that stuff coming up today on the show to get into finding out what the hell happened the other day. Throw your opinions up on the board. There is a poll, guys, on the board. You believe the Steelers still will win Sunday night and make the playoffs, or if the Ravens. Right now, the results are leaning slightly toward the way of Baltimore. But get on there, throw your opinions up there, guys, as the poll is up on the board. That is the way the numbers went for the day. Let's get into some other things here, guys. Steelers head-to-head versus the Ravens. It all comes down to this. It couldn't get any bigger. Guys, the AFC North coming down to Sunday night, 8:20 start on the North Shore. The Ravens travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. The Ravens are already favorites in this football game, guys. I think it's 3.5 points. I don't have it, but I think I recall seeing the Ravens already 3.5-point favorites. But you know what? Should it surprise you? This is who they picked to win the division in the first place. So I think if we end up beating them, this certainly is it went beyond what was thought of the Steelers for the year, and it's totally possible, guys. Gang, what's up, my man Jamal on the board? Always great seeing the great Jamal on the terrible board, my man. Let's see what else we could get into here. The guaranteed interception drop. How many interceptions are we going to drop? At least one a week, right? We say this every week. Nick Herbig dropped a ball right in his hands. So there was that dropped interception this week as well. What else can we get into here? That's it. Yeah, one more thing Coach said. Coach Tomlin says he admits, with DK being out, he admits that the guys didn't make the necessary plays. That was another thing that was said during his conference yesterday. No DK, no Calvin Austin III, no problem. We won't even throw it to Roman Wilson, even if we have no receivers. What a weird wide receiver situation we got. Huh? We go 2 seasons without bringing in a wide receiver too. Then out of nowhere, we bring one in. And then we bring another guy. And then we stop using the kid that we have that I just don't understand what's going on with this squad. I don't know. It's a very bizarre. Very bizarre. What else? What else we got? Pittsburgh fumbled 3 times. They recovered all 3. You don't see that often. Pittsburgh fumbled 3 times. MVS fumbled once, jumped back, pulled. He pulled his fumble back in. He recovered his own fumble, but 3 times through the game yesterday. The Steelers did fumble the ball. They did recover all 3 times. 3.5 points. 3.5 points. The Ravens are favored this week in Pittsburgh. And let me get into some other numbers over here. While I'm getting to some of these other numbers here, what about Romo? Is he annoying or what? I thought Collinsworth was annoying. Fuck. You couldn't be any more on Smiles Carrot's nutsack. You really couldn't be. But one thing I do want to say, as much as they were adamant and they were for sure Myles Garrett was going to get that sack, he never got it. So, again, the small victories, again, and again, I don't think you base your whole game around trying to make sure that doesn't happen. I'd say, if it happens in a win, I will certainly take that. And also, Cook didn't look so bad either for having this chore of randomly having to pick up and cover Myles. Was it perfect? No. But at the end of the day, he didn't get that sack. What else? What else we got going here? The Aaron Rodgers, guys, is 3-1. 3-1 since turning 42 years old. Of course, he turned 42 just a few weeks ago. He was 3-0 coming into this game since turning 42 years old. The Steelers just can't win in Cleveland, guys. Let me know if you can hear me now, because again, my wire, this wire. Can you hear me? Tortilla, you're usually one of the faster ones to let me know. Let me know if you can hear me, Tortilla. Tortilla, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Tortilla? Let me know. Anybody? Can anybody hear me? I just want to make sure if anybody could hear. Let me know. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Loud and clear. Thank you so much. I did have other things here about this Browns and Steelers. Give me 1 second to see if I could find it. Steelers have not won a game in Cleveland since Big Ben played. The Steelers have not won in Cleveland since Big Ben played. So again, that's interesting. I swear I had a better statistic in here for you, but I apparently I don't. Yeah, I don't think I got it in front of me. It was something along the lines of just how poorly we played. What they say yesterday, there was some stat that it hasn't happened since Tommy Maddox has been there or some shit. Which again, we know that was a very, very long time ago. Tyrone, I miss Ben. I missed Ben when he was still here. I used to always say, dude, he's just special. There's going to be life after Ben. Believe it or not, we're going to have to deal with that. And here we are, smack dab in the middle of it. What else do we got? What else we got here today, guys? We got I covered that. The bad officiating both ways. I'm not gonna blame the officiating at all, because look how pathetic the teams that do. Look how they look. I mean, the Dolphins are still complaining about that. Or what was it? The Ravens. They're still complaining about that play at the end of that game, and then also in Detroit as well. So I'm not gonna do it, guys. The field. What was up with that nasty shit streak that went the whole way across the middle of their field? This is what I'm saying. Come on, Cleveland, do better, huh? All right, here's one, guys. We briefly talked about this, and again, I'm not blaming it. I'm not saying anything's rigged, but has anybody noticed lately the late whistles constantly? Oh, it's a 13-yard gain by the running back. Oh, wait. Well, hold on. Then the flag goes up. Or there's, a play where a guy gains 35 yards. Oh, wait. A flag comes in late. Has anybody noticed that this is going on as well, guys? What's that all about? Why so late on all the penalties all of a sudden? It almost seems like it's I don't know. Again, Kenneth, you're come on. Kenneth is upright as a kid. So, he never comes in here with bias. Kenneth, come on. Mark Malone, fuck yeah, I noticed. It's not the same as it was. Whatever's going on, it's not the same in the league. And again, I'm not going to blame refs. I'm not going to blame the league. But just saying, guys, if you haven't acknowledged the difference in officiating around the league, pay more attention. That's all I got to say. Not just us. It didn't cost us. It didn't cost them. It did. Just watch around the league. That's all I'm saying. Officiating is different. Big plays, a flag always comes out late now. I'm not going to sit here and blame this, but just pay attention. Let it prove itself. That's all I'm going to say. Cleveland, they went with nine different offensive alignments yesterday. They were having issues as well, guys. Everybody's hurt at this time of year. The Browns, they did put nine different offensive alignments out on that field yesterday, guys. So again, it wasn't like this was a Cleveland Brown team playing good football. This is a Cleveland Brown team that managed 13 points. Their offensive line was beat. They got a rookie quarterback. Their wide receiver has a broken leg. Their starting tight end has some kind of injury. So again, no touchdowns. That's not a good sign heading into the playoffs for the Steelers. What else? Oh, here it is. Yeah, I already touched on that. Let's see. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get back on the board. Let me get back on the board because I don't want to miss out on a lot today. And then Mondays are tough, especially on a loss, man. People come out in droves. They want to, they want to give their opinion. They want to see what people's saying. So I do apologize on Monday when I do get a little bit behind on the terrible board, guys. Let me jump back up here. All right. I think I know where we're at, too. At least close enough. Right here. Ryan, Ricky, diehard sports fan says this. Ryan, I'm right, bro. The AFC is weak and the NFC is far better. The NFC championship game is going to be the real Super Bowl. Tater Tot says this. He says the Steelers are great. I'm so glad that you guys had introduced me to them. Anytime, Tater Tot. Ricky says Aaron Rodgers booked them tickets to Cancun. Phil says another 500 season under Teflon Don. Tyrone, A-Rod will bounce back. Watch. Lindsay says Tomlin said back to those comments. A-Rod will torch the Ravens deep. Exactly. The Ravens defense is like night and day compared to the Browns defense, guys. Again, if Lamar, I'd almost rather him play. I don't know what his situation is going to be. He was out last week. Of course, Snoop Huntley played. But again, with his situation, I might rather face Lamar Jackson. The way he's hurt and banged up. And, Mark Malone says, we all see why Juan has been riding the pine. And that's the thing about Juan Valdez-Scantling. I wasn't huge on him, but I wanted a friggin' receiver. We needed a body. 2 seasons without a wide receiver, too. I mean, at this point, we'll take whatever you give us. But you're right. MVS certainly wouldn't have been one of my top picks of people to get. However, I was certainly happy that we got an extra body, and it is what it is at this point. Phil Steele says, "What a great coach." Mark Malone says, "Now, yes." Kenneth says MVS has brick hands and doesn't track. You're right. He looks like he reminds me of Deontay Johnson. He just does. He's very similar in his play and his movement, and don't have a whole lot of confidence in him. Ricky says Ricky's diehard sports says this. Tyrone Aaron Rodgers washed up. He got lucky that he only got injured one time during the season. Steelers going to have to absolutely, Ricky. That's the answer. We have to go out and get our franchise quarterback, whatever it takes. You got to go out and get your franchise quarterback. You're not going to do anything without him. It just doesn't happen in this league. You have to have your guy. You have to. If you don't have your guy, you don't win. You don't win championships. It's just go back and look it up. Tortilla, he might as well walk out and start rapping Kanye West. Tyrone says this. I'm sure we'll bounce back this week. I think we'll win this game. I do think we'll win this game. And it's going to create a whole nother conversation for the following week, and we'll be here for it. But at the end of the day, I think that Baltimore Ravens defense is so bad. It is really, really bad, really bad. And I'm not saying our defense played great this year by anywhere, by far. But Baltimore's defense is really bad, guys. If we could stop Henry the same way we did last time, I think there's a very good chance we win this game. As a matter of fact, Tortilla Tomlin talks how Kendrick Lamar raps. Kenneth Jones says 4th and 1, doing that play over the tush push further. Let me know that Roger. That's what I'm saying too, Kenneth. Whoever was involved, they got to be. They need to be put in the back of the line. 4th and 1 on the 20 of the Browns. You haven't thrown downfield all day. You have a receiver who's barely played all year in Scotty Miller. and you decide to go downfield on it was from the 20 and it was about 7 yards deep in the end zone where it landed. So, you decide to throw the ball 30 yards down the field on a 4th and 1. And again, you should have taken those points. And again, that changes the way the whole game is played at that point. ASAP Tallman Tortilla saying Tyrone, hope Lamar's playing. Yeah, dude. If Lamar's playing, I like our chances better. He's hurt. Plus, we own him. You're right. Tyrone says we own him. Excuse me, guys. Tater Tard says this. He says, you know what? I'm really getting into the Steelers. The more I sit here and listen to you guys talk, I'm realizing that you are smart and people, fans of my team are really dumb. He's talking about Cleveland, of course he is. And he's really, really grateful that we allow him to hang out. Anytime, Tater Tot. Anytime, buddy. Field of Steel says that's why I call him Teflon Don. Just say it. Teflon Don coaches BS games. Tortilla says, we let you win, Tater. Tyrone says we got to stop Henry's offense. Needs a good game plan. You know what? That's the thing, though. You take out Washington and you take out DK, the offense, again, it should be similar to what it was last time, the way we were able to move at will against the Ravens defense. But again, this the DK suspension, again, could very well be something that sacked this whole season when it's all said and done. We will see. How bad? Well, Joey Porter's never let up a touchdown in the NFL. So, if that's what you're asking, I don't know, Tate. Right? Again, with the dumb questions, I don't know with you. Tortilla says we need more castaways, Ryan. Let's sign Odell, bring back DJ, sign Lazard. I know. The thing was, we needed a body, right? I don't think we were wrong for wanting a wide receiver too after 2 years of not having one. Come on. Jamal says it's over, man. I give up. We lost without DK. Gang, my man. Always great seeing Jamal. Mark Malone says we're going to need big games out of Warren, Kenny, and G. Fry. There's no reason 2 of those guys shouldn't have a bigger game yesterday. I don't know why they numbers of touches for Kenneth Gainwell and even Pat Freiermuth, who's getting a hot hand late in the game. He was set on throwing that ball to MVS, guys. Whatever that was all about. Steeler free contact. Malik Willis and pay him. Tyrone says, don't give up yet, Ravens. Don't give up yet. They are ass. There's a reason they were 1-5. There was a reason they were. Listen, as inconsistent as we've been ahead of them all year. You see what I'm saying? That's not a really good football team. And again, when they're good, we could always make it a good game between these two. I'm not afraid of the Ravens by any means. And again, never have, never will be. Tyrone, TJ will be back and save us like usual. And that's another thing. We don't even know if he's going to be back. They were saying last night on the game that the doctors want him to play at least or participate in 1 whole week of practice before he is able to return. So we'll find out. We will find out. Keep up with what TJ's got going on. Jamal says, man, Roman could have been utilized as number 1. Is anything. The fact that he was virtually nothing this season is a joke. So are we. Tyrone says, we're Elliott, right? Well, you know what? Duggar's doing all right. He had an interception. Again, he had the touchdown a couple weeks ago. But that play yesterday where he turned his back, I don't even know what that was. I've never, as a matter of fact, I've never seen that done before. But again, Tyrone, exactly. So who got Sunday, to be honest? I don't know. Jim Nance, Tortilla saying Jim Nance. Of course, I was talking about Tony Roma there for a moment. Mark Malone, yeah, we hear you. Okay, thank you, guys. I appreciated all that. Thank you, Kenny, Tortilla, and Mark. Miss Pittsburgh, we appreciate that. Thank you, Miss Pittsburgh, as well. Mark Malone. Okay, let's go right here. Troy Klingsmith, 25-23. I do want to say welcome to the terrible board. Welcome to the show. Troy says this, please, Mr. Rooney, time to rebuild the whole team and staff. They don't look anything like the Steelers of old. Save the Steelers curtain and the history the Steelers represent. Troy, that'd be the best case scenario, brother. I agree. You know what? When they got their asses beat by Baltimore last year, that was our narrative on the show. Tear it apart and let's start from the bottom. Build up and it's scary how similar we're consistently playing like we are right now. And I'm talking not a week. I'm not talking about not even a season. This has gone back for about 10 years now. Something's got to give here, guys. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Um, and again, one of the arguments against Tomlin, people are always going to use the argument about Cowher's team. And I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to say if he wasn't handed a team that just won the Super Bowl just 2 years prior, and he wasn't able to get that success early, what would Tomlin's career be? Maybe 19 straight 500 seasons, but less championships. I don't know. Again, never heard his name come up in Coach of the Year talks. That's all I got to say. Kenneth says this. I believe refs are getting real time. I do too. Them earpieces. Take them damn earpieces off those refs. I don't trust them. Kenneth, I don't trust them. Not one bit. I'm just, again, I don't know what's going on, but the real-time earpieces and the way these, Tortilla says it's like the refs wait to see who's caught the ball or have something in their ear telling. I know. And again, I'm not saying that that's what happened, but you guys are seeing the same stuff I'm seeing. That it's obvious by what I'm reading. You guys are seeing the same things that I'm seeing because those are the things that I'm thinking when I see those same things. Kenneth says Warren had a 64-yard, but Gainwell didn't get it. Yeah, you're right. Gainwell had, 7 catches or 7 touches? I don't understand why you go from the hot hand in a game that you're shorthanded, you're dealing with injuries. And as a matter of fact, it's a game that you would want to go with the hot hand. Tortilla says get rid of the refs and just have the player from each team play rock, paper, scissors if they call a foul. Like a basketball, right? Like playground basketball. Call your own fouls. Kenneth Gainwell had 26 yards on 12. Bro, he is the leading receiver on the team. And now you're going to not go to him when your number one receiver's out? DK's in there. They throw it to Kenneth 13 times a game. DK's not in there. He gets the ball 12 receiving yards. Come on, guys. Steeler Freak says I can find old local Pittsburgh sports shows from the 80s and 90s saying the game is rigged. Nothing new. Troy says this. The Ravens are hungry and out to make a statement to Steelers and the Steelers. But you know what? They're in the same situation we are in, though, Troy. I mean, they got a head coach that the people are ready to get the hell out of. They want him the hell out of town. Not too many people's thrilled with Jim Harbaugh. They got their quarterback situation isn't quite as good as they thought it was going to be. Their defense is terrible. And again, they've consistently played a little less better than we did all year. They literally was ahead of us for 1 week. So again, that number 11 has been a cursed number for us. Oh, that's interesting. Yes. Chase Claypool, MVS. Right off the top of my head, I agree. Troy said Howard. I would have liked to seen Howard on this week, but I don't know if it's going to play out, guys. We probably won't see Howard again. Not seeing him in the preseason, I think was a bummer because of the injury, of course, and then now all the way through the season, you might not see him play a snap. And we're talking about going out and finding our franchise quarterback in the draft. Again, another interesting off-season storyline. Steeler Freak says this. Can the current Steelers find and develop the next QB? Again, the franchise guy was kind of handed to this. It's hard to say. Mark Malone might have to acquire Mac Jones this offseason. Mark Malone also says not in the draft, not in next year's draft. LOL. Jamal says Scotty. I'm not exactly thrilled with Scotty Miller to begin with, and this was not the game I really wanted him to step up and have make a point they were going to throw to Scotty Miller multiple times. He's one of them guys that kind of has to make the big play beyond while other things are happening. Again, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan, Jamal, of the whole Scotty Miller situation. Tortilla throwing deep to Scotty on 4th and 1 is like playing prevent defense against the tush push. It was a terrible call. It was a terrible call. When it comes down to it, it was a terrible call. You take those points, you're trying to win a game. You're trying to make the playoffs. Again, it isn't like we're this great team that should be running on, like a team like Detroit that does it all the time, or a team that does it well. We just kind of found this newfound thing, and we're doing it. And it worked a couple times. Well, guess what? We didn't convert once yesterday on 4th. As a matter of fact, when we needed to score, when we needed any points, we threw the ball deep downfield on a 4th and 1. So Tortilla, we lost to Shador, right? We lost to Shador. Steeler Freak says Malik Willis, but I am not the only old guy who knows. She says, Tater Todd says, I am so upset that I have Shador Sanders on my team. He says, I wish I had more Steelers on my team, is what Tater is saying. Tyrone says JPJ will guard Flowers. I'm not worried about. I'm not really Baltimore. I was more worried about Cleveland than I am Baltimore. I got to be honest with you. Baltimore's look lifeless week after week after week. Yes, they looked good the other night against a Green Bay team who had no incentive on winning, clinching their playoff spot a couple days before, or whatever it was, with another team's loss, and they had no incentive to win that game. And I got to be honest with you, I'm still liking Steelers over Baltimore this week. Tyrone says Sanders is a bum. I seen that live. LOL. He's not good. Tyrone seen him in real life there, Tater Todd. He's saying he didn't look good. Kenneth says we will win. Don't sweat it. And I, you know what? That's where I'm at too. I do think we are going to win this week. Jamal says, why would he not go to Moot after Moot let us down the field? Exactly. They stopped giving it to everybody who makes plays. I'm not going to give it to Kenneth Gainwell anymore. Come on, guys. What a ridiculous turn of events that was. Let's see. Tyrone says TJ was limited last two practices. That's what they said. If he practices all week, they're going to give him the green light. So let's see. We'll see what happens when practice starts. Tortilla says y'all going to retire Shador's number in 3 years. Ricky says, Tyrone, why are you hating on Shady? Wait, hold on. Who's right? Let's go here. Tortilla, y'all going to retire? Okay. Let's see. Steelers going to have a terrible season next year. That's what they keep saying. But our coach gets us 500 record. And I'm not being facetious. I'm being serious. How they say we're going to be terrible every year. But the one thing you got to say about coach, he doesn't allow us to be terrible. He allows us to be terrible at times, but at the end of the day, come on. They say we're going to finish in the basement with Cleveland, and that's obviously not happening. But again, providing if we tear the place down and build from the scraps up, I mean, it's going to be. New England went through this. People said, "What are they ever going to do? They're never going to win without." I mean, come on, Bill Belichick was there and Tom Brady. Well, guess what, guys? A new life brings new life sometime, and sometimes it happens that way. And I got to be honest with you. You got to think what Vrabel and the Patriots have been able to do, the way that team's been able to rebound, and gives a team like us a sign of hope. Unless we want to continue on with mediocre, just over 500 records and not doing anything else, something's eventually got to change. But again, that's a whole nother conversation for a different day. Let's continue to go over what's going on with these Browns, because we do have to get into the grades for the day. Also, I do want to give my game ball, and I do have a game ball. Believe it or not, I have a game ball for a Steeler yesterday. That's right, I do. Let me jump right over here. All right. Steeler Freak says a decade of death by 1,000 cuts. That's about it, too. Tortilla says, bro, Shadora's ass. Mark Malone, Shador Sanders will be riding the pine soon. I don't doubt it. It's Cleveland. Why does anybody think that this problem is fixed? Why does anybody think that the Cleveland Browns solved their problem at quarterback? You effed up the Baker Mayfield situation. I'm going to have to see this one play out before I make my call on that. Tyrone says, you know what? I'm glad it's for the division. Tyrone says, I want the smoke. That's right. Listen, man. I'm not out on this team. I'm not. We're gonna win. We're gonna beat Baltimore. You watch. It just happened. The NFL needed this game, dude. This is the biggest rated game of the weekend. There you go. And if this game means nothing, what's that? Again, it's all about that bottom line, man. I don't know what's being done, but again, at the end of the day, I knew, you knew, everybody knew that the Ravens Steelers for the division next week would have been the best possible situation, and it played out that way. So again, it is what it is. Steeler Freak says, I was smoking weed and wondering why Tomlin needs shades in the rain. I didn't even notice, but that's a good observation. Tater says, you guys are freaking great. I love the Steelers. Well, you know what? That's awesome, Tater. Sanders is asked. Tyrone is saying, Ricky says, Mike Tomlin is going to be jobless soon enough. That's a good question. Guys, let me ask you this. I know the poll is about the Ravens and Steelers on who's going to win, and I do see that the Ravens are slightly ahead in this poll. But what do you think, guys? We had the big lead to begin the division or to begin the season, 4-1. They were 1-5. The Ravens. Again, 3 weeks left. We have a 2-game lead and a tiebreaker, and if we lose this weekend, we could be out of the playoffs. The boo Tomlin, the fire Tomlin boos and things like that could be awfully loud this week at Acrisure Stadium. And I don't think it's going to happen. I do think we're going to win. But what if we drop the ball and shit the bed? How do you feel about the Tomlin situation after that, guys? Just another season of just kind of going through it here and not getting it done. I'm just kind of curious. What do you guys think? It's gonna be a topic. You're gonna hear it a million times if we don't win this football game. Go right here. Let's see. Tortilla says this, bruh, Shador wasn't the reason y'all won. If y'all had a good quarterback, you would have won. Exactly. If you had a good quarterback, you'd win 13-6 against a team that's playing like us. Ricky says that was funny when the Steelers were chanting fire Tomlin after the Bills game. You know what? It could happen again this weekend. Things just have to change. And the thing is, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whose feelings it's going to hurt. It's for the better of the team. Guys. And again, if Tomlin fixes this and turns things around, and I'm all aboard. I'm not against the guy. I'm just not against not ever winning anything. You know what I mean? Steeler Freak says, Dickie die soft, stop trolling. Let me go right here. Law Supreme, welcome to the terrible show. Law Supreme says, go get Malik Willis by all means and get an offensive coordinator similar to what you see in Green Bay. I just think it's too late on the Malik Willis for, I mean, is he your future? Is he, you drafted a guy, a national championship winning quarterback last year. He didn't get a chance to play one snap. I think if it's early on and you're still talking, if we're talking Malik Willis, maybe it's a good move then. However, we're just a little too close to the end line now, the finish line. I think Aaron Rodgers ain't going anywhere the rest of this year. You know what I mean? I just don't understand at this point how that would be a good move. And again, we got 12 picks in April here in the draft in Pittsburgh. So again, that's a wide open conversation, Law, and Law Supreme. And I think it's a good point to make. I just think it's a little too late in the game for that particular move. Let's go ahead along right here. Law Supreme does also say this. They don't want the sack record broken. You got to blame TJ for that happening also. Tortilla says trying to scheme 13-3 team, trying to out-scheme a 3-13 team. Ricky's a bum. Tyrone saying, he says MFers said it was race why he went 5th round. Get the hell out of here, trash. That's why. Also, Ricky says Patriots had an easy schedule. LOL. And we'll see. I mean, once the Patriots get their first place division or their first place schedule next year, we'll see how they run it back. It's, it is what it is. The Ravens had a first place schedule as well, and let's see right here. Steeler Freak, a playoff win with this team wouldn't move my needle. It's old and won't look the same next year. Elham, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. The Steelers has to win against the Ravens, and that's it, man. It's all down to this. It's for all the marbles, head to head. The two, come on. I mean, it's the two teams that represent the AFC North. in all seriousness. And you know what? I think the NFL really likes this. I'm just going to say that. Phil Steele says, well, what Teflon Don does is give us a burger without cheese, fries, and soda, just the plain burger. Elham says this, Shedeur Sanders is not a good quarterback, so he should be on the bench after his audition with the Browns. But you know what? It's the Browns. It's going to continue as it's continued to this point. Nothing has changed in my life with the Cleveland Browns. It never has. Law Supreme says anyone saying Sanders' ass is delusional. I wouldn't say he's ass, but he's not great. He's a rookie. He's played 4 games. That's all you could really go by. Ricky says Seahawks and 49ers should have been the Sunday night game. Ravens and Steelers are done. Also, Mark Malone says the Rooney Ruler is here as long as he wants to be. Phil Steele says Teflon Don isn't getting fired. We got his ass till 2027. Also, El Holmes says this Steelers need to tie or win. With a tie, the Steelers 9-7-1, the Ravens 8-8-1. With a win, the Steelers will be 10-7, the Ravens 8-9. Mark Malone, me either. I damn near give my left nut for Tomlin to win a Super Bowl with one of it. Right. I have no problem with this guy's race. What a fucking, who the hell are these people hanging out with that this is all they see in their lives? It's not in my life. I could tell you that. If he wins, it's awesome. We're good. We're gravy. It's back on track. I don't know. We're just not winning. We have been stale for 10 years and maybe even longer and haven't won a playoff game in almost a decade. Those are the problems. And if you can't see that, then I don't know what to tell you. If you're going to continue to blame on something else, I don't know who these people who these people are keeping company, that everybody's so racist in their life. I don't know. I don't have this in my life, fortunately. Mark Malone. Okay, Ricky Steele's not going to be winning a Super Bowl anytime soon. They are a dumpster fire for sure. And again, we called that all year and all last year and all year before and all 878 shows. It's been a dumpster fire since then. And again, they don't do a whole lot to change that sometimes. Again, going almost 2 whole seasons without a wide receiver too, I think should be a good enough indicator of that. But let me continue on the board here. Phil Steele, all of you who joined us from Debo Joe's show, welcome and thank you for joining the terrible board. Thank you. Thank you for coming over from the Debo and Joe show. We appreciate you and we welcome you. Welcome to the terrible board. Tortilla says this, bro, if you watch Shedeur play, it's not delusional. Literally thrown 3 of the worst throws I've ever seen yesterday. His fans are delusional. He's not good. He's not been good. He's always been a loser, Tortilla is saying. Tater Tot says, this Steelers are the greatest team ever, and I can't believe that I haven't got into them sooner. Tortilla, Tater Tot, you've really come a long way on the show. Got to be honest with you. Mark Malone says, Shedeur is a college quarterback. You know what the thing that really gets me about Shedeur? The guy has no running skills. What is up with that? How is your dad Deion Sanders and you don't you can't run the ball? I mean, that's weird. That's why come on. Let's see. Tortilla says this. Tortilla says he's thrown more interceptions and time. What's he have? 10? Well, no shit. Tater Tot's talking about his no reps, and the guy threw 10 interceptions in 4 games. He's definitely not setting the league on fire. Also, Mark Malone says, well, he did play a Tomlin defense. Tortilla says there's literal reports about how much Shedeur was lighting up minicamp, but he got no reps. Y'all make up at no. You know what? The excuses from Cleveland, the machine that makes excuses from Cleveland is something like I've never seen before. And again, this is why I love having the Browns around. They entertain you in various ways. John Steeler Freak says the Browns lost was Tomlin's worst. No excuse. Rooney is weak. Vegas. What's up, Vegas? What's good, sir? Always great seeing Vegas. And Elholm says this. The Steelers never have fired a head coach in GM or GM in history. If Tomlin's fired, then wonder. Well, again, they're not fired. But when Chuck Noll got stale, there was agreements to split ways. in Tomlin's career looks like it's at that stale part of Chuck Noll's career. Again, find me anything that's worth anything that's an argument. This 500 crap means nothing. It literally means nothing. The only person it really literally means anything for is Coach Tomlin, where he could walk away and said, I never had a losing season. For you as a fan, as a Steeler fan, that record means nothing. It literally means nothing if you're not winning in postseason. And, Lappy, I do want to say welcome to Lappy on the terrible board. At Lappy says this, haven't you figured out what the Steelers did on Sunday? Tomlin obviously had a plan to guarantee a game that the Browns did not get the overall #1 pick in 2026. That has to be what it was. They said, you know what, we got to lose this game. Not get that playoff spot because Cleveland needs to get that #1 pick. Tyrone says, Law, he's not right, or Law, he's not good though. That's F. I'm not sure. John Steeler Freak says the Patriots were 4-13 last year and are now much closer to 7 than this. Exactly. And those people said, how are they ever going to bounce back from not having Brady and Belichick? Well, guess what? You got a new coach, and things happen. Again, new scenery, new life, new game plan, new just culture. I know people hate to hear that word, but come on. Again, it has nothing to do with race. It has all to do with football. Vegas says they do have a wide receiver #2. His name is DK Metcalf. I mean, he's not best ability he has is availability, and guess what? He doesn't have it right now because he punched somebody in the head, which is why we got rid of GP, because he's a pain in the ass. At least GP's got better numbers. We might as well kept him. Law says all rookie quarterbacks are ass then. Nope, nobody said that. Ricky, who are the Steelers going to blame for losing to the Browns? I'll wait for the answer, people. I mean, we've been talking about quite a few things on the show today. Phil Steele says, Vegas, suck it. Tortilla, Shuck might be the best one. So, yeah, they all suck. Hell yeah, if Shuck is the best one. But again, they're rookies, guys. Come on. Give the guys a little bit of break here. Law says Sunday night can really be bad with a loss. It could send Rodgers into retirement. Also, the fire Tomlin chants will ring loud on national TV. Ugh. For a second time. People will hear this. Ricky says this. Jaden McDaniels had a great rookie season. Nobody can take that away from him. But he has Jaden McDaniels went to those NFC Championship. You're right. Come on. I mean, that's a crazy argument. A rookie had his team in the NFC Championship. So again, if it happens, it happens. A lot of times it don't, but in that particular situation, it sure did. Vegas says this. Herbig drops an easy INT to the house. Again, that is to the house if Herbig catches that pass. But it didn't happen. And Duggar reads the play from the snap that doesn't react to the ball to at least bat it down. Elholm says Tyler Shuck and the Saints rookie quarterback. He's doing very good. I mean, for winning games with the Saints, I have to agree with you. He is playing good football. Didn't win yesterday, or I don't know if they did yesterday or not, but I know that they've won a couple. Law Supreme, we were tired of mediocre and steel town, clean house. If we lose, that's what? That's going to be the narrative. I promise you. Law, I promise you. If we lose this week, that's going to be it. Tear the place down. The coaches, players, anything. And that's where we were last year. And they roped us back into another season. Tyrone, and the shit talking begins with me and my bro. That's a Ravens fan, Ryan. Okay, gotcha. Phil Steele says choker Harbaugh versus mediocre Tomlin, and Mark Malone says this. Duggar and ASG may have already been tainted by Tomlin. Sante Samuel Jr., of course. Ricky says this. It will be hilarious and funny if the Ravens and Steelers end the game in a tie like the Cowboys and Packers game in Jerry World. And finally, Tater Tart says, guys, I freaking love you guys. I love the Yinzers. I love Steelers. I'm such a thankful person. So lucky to be allowed to be able to hang out with you guys. Tater Tot, you be the man. Let me get to let's do this, guys. We got grades to get to. I got game balls to give away. We got trivia of the day. This is Ravens week. It's all on the line. Winner goes to the playoffs. Losers goes home. It doesn't get any better than this, guys. Tortilla, there's no class in Cleveland. The fuck you talking about? Summer. All right, guys. Time to get into the grades. Let's do it. Help me out on the board. I'm going to need your help. I'm going to give the grades, but also I need your opinion as well, guys. It's just like a report card, just like the grades in school, which mine were never great, but I'm going to give it another shot here today. Let's do this. Quarterback for the day, Aaron Rodgers. I am going to give him. Let me pull up my numbers because again, I don't want to. I want to be fair. I want to be fair with my grades. So I'm going to look exactly what Aaron Rodgers did, and I'm going to go off of that, and I'm going to give the most fair grade I have. But guys, don't hesitate. Throw your grades up on the board if you have a feeling, a grade on how any of this stuff went during the game yesterday. Throw your grades up there, A through F, just like school. A being the best, F not being so great. Guys, let me get to it right here. So Aaron Rodgers went right about here. All right. Aaron Rodgers, 21 for 39, 168 yards. Tortilla saying Aaron Rodgers got an F. Aaron Rodgers, however, didn't turn the ball over. Didn't score any touchdowns. Didn't throw any touchdowns. 168 yards. I'm going to give. It was an average day. I mean, not an average day for him, but just an average day as a quarterback. I'm going to give him a C minus. I'm going to give him a C minus. Tortilla says Rodgers gets an F. Tortilla Muth in the running back room gets C's, and the defense gets a C. Guys, let's move to the running backs. Let's grade these running backs on how they played yesterday. Of course, the numbers don't look good. Jaylen Warren, 12 carries, 64 yards, which is over 5 yards per carry, but still only 12 carries. Kenneth Gainwell, 7 carries, 26 yards. And then we're going to look at them in the wide receiver sense, where you have Kenneth Gainwell, 3 catches and 12 yards on the day, and no catches by Warren. So I'm going to give the running backs, I'm going to give them a C plus. It wasn't for lack of effort. It was for lack of play calling. They cut Kenneth Gainwell's numbers down, throwing and running. That says something, being he's your number one receiver on the team. So with that being said, I can't come down on the guys. It wasn't due to lack of performance. So next, tight ends. Pat Freiermuth looked good late. Connor Hayward, the longest play of the day for the Steelers. Washington makes a couple grabs before he gets injured. And then also John, who is still not doing much amazing with the football. He caught a lot of passes. Guys, tight ends, it could have been a better day had Aaron found Muth one more time. One more time, this grade gets brought up. If Aaron finds Muth in the end zone to score at the end of the game, this is different. But I got to give the tight ends a B minus. They didn't do anything bad. They just didn't do anything great either, guys. So, again, I'm going to give him a little bit more. Miss Pittsburgh's giving an F. Kenneth says Warren B+, Gainwell C. But it's right. It's not their fault. They didn't their reps went down. Why? When you don't have a wide receiver one, you stop throwing to the guy who actually has the most wide receiver catches, the most receptions on your team. It's hard to blame it on the running backs. I think their effort was there. Wide receivers, 8. Let me go right here. 8 catches by wide receivers, 3 by MVS, 2 by Adam Thielen, and 3 by Scotty Miller. Guys, that was just not going to work. Scotty made some grabs. I don't know. MVS got stone hands like Deontay a lot of times, it seems to me. Thielen, he dropped the pass on the sideline that we could have certainly used to help us out. He didn't wow me. I just come on, wide receivers. I got to give him a D plus. I got to give him a D plus. Wide receivers for me, getting a D plus. I do want to say welcome to Jeremy. Back to the board. We've had Jeremy here before. Mark Malone says the running black. What about the white ends? If the running blacks didn't do it, the white ends certainly didn't do it. Let me get back to it here, though. Ryan Armack is saying a C on the board. Kenneth is saying all things hinge on the quarterback in this one. Guys, let's get to the offensive line. I'm going to be honest. 2 sacks on the day. They didn't let Myles Garrett break the record. It wasn't, and trying to keep that guy at bay all day for a young offensive line, a Dylan Cook who, he didn't look as great as he has in the past few games, but again, he didn't look bad. I got to give the offensive line somewhat of a passing grade. I'm going to give them a B. I don't think that, again, Cleveland has a really good defense, and a lot of people forget that. They forget that. You get confused because they're Cleveland. That's where I get confused all the time. It's like, wait, Cleveland, they're good? Wait, no, they got a good defense. Got to give them that. Defensive line, guys. Defensive line. Let me take a look, see what our defense looked like on the line yesterday. Didn't do much of amazing things. However, they did shut down the run for the most part. Sampson had 11 carries for 27 yards. Sanders, 8 for 21. That was the running back Sanders. So defensive line, they didn't exactly they played solid, I guess. If it wasn't for that first drive of the game, the whole game was solid defense for both sides. The first, it was the first drive, maybe, whenever it was that they went down and got that one crazy touchdown, and it was very similar to how Kenneth Gainwell's went last week, just down in that corner, kind of a ball tossed up. Duggar missing that tackle, but again, they didn't. No other touchdowns, guys. That was it. My defensive line, like I said, they didn't get toe up. I'm going to give the defensive line a B minus. Or offensive line, I'm going to give him a B minus. Or defensive line, I'm going to give him a B minus. I just look at Kenneth here. He says, line got a B. Let me jump to the linebackers. I got to be honest with you on this one. Patrick Queen was sticking them. He was sticking fools. I got to be honest. Alex Highsmith looked like he was shot out of a cannon on his 2 sacks. Peyton Wilson even made a huge play on the sideline at one point on a tackle that we needed to make. And Jack Sawyer, the second interception of the season, after looking good last week and getting a nice tackle for loss on a goal line stand. So the linebackers, all in all, from inside to outside, the linebackers played a good game. Herbig's interception pick 6 would have made this a lot easier for me. But linebackers, I didn't think played bad. And again, they only scored 13 points against us. I got to give the linebackers a B for the game. I thought the linebackers played solid. Secondary. Let's talk about defensive backs, guys. Defensive backs. Joey Porter still hasn't let up a touchdown all season, or his whole career. Duggar with an interception, but that kind of gets negated by his the coverage on the touchdown by the Browns. Jalen Ramsey was there. He got to here. He got to there. He made big plays when he needed to. There was one play in particular when Sanders was running out of the pocket, and Jalen Ramsey stopped him with 1 yard to spare from getting a first down. Who else? Samuel. I mean, the secondary played again. We only let up 13 points, so I can't give the secondary again. It had its ups, it had its downs. I'm going to go with C+ with the secondary at this point, guys. Let's move to Phil was giving the game ball to Alex Highsmith, which I don't think that's a bad idea at all. However, I think you're going to be surprised where my game ball goes today, guys. Special teams. We missed a field goal. Scotty had a nice return at one point. Corliss Waitman, 5 punts, all 5 inside the 20. That's good. We like that. So all in all, I think it was an average day for special teams. Nothing killed us. Of course, the miss by Boz, never a good thing. I think on the day, special teams, we seem to do everything else fine. Was coverage was all right. We never got killed on coverage. I got to give special teams let's go B- because Boz did miss, but everybody else did fine. So I'm not going to penalize him for that. Coaching, guys. This is the one that I need to hear what you guys. Wonder what you guys think. What's the grade on the coaching? And I'm not talking about just the head coach. I'm talking about the offensive coordinator. I'm talking about the defensive coordinator. I'm talking about if you don't think that Danny Smith ate enough gum, guys. Tell me about the coaching. What you grade the coaching on the day? I don't think it was good. I think that going forward on 4th and 1 instead of taking the points in the halfway point of the second quarter was bad coaching. I think going forward on 4th down 3 different times is bad coaching. I think I'm going to give him a D. I'm going to give him a D. Let me continue on. And overall, what do you give this Pittsburgh Steelers team for that game yesterday? David Weiss on the board. I do want to say welcome to David Weiss. Mark Malone is saying an F. David Weiss is saying an F. There isn't a grade for the coaches. Tortilla is saying. Well, I don't know if it didn't. I do want to say welcome to Bingo as always. Great to see you. Bingo said Jack Sawyer's interception didn't mean if we would have scored, it would have. And we didn't score on that particular drive. The ball was deflected, bounced off dude's hand, and ended up in his hand. If it wasn't, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if he doesn't make that catch, then we're complaining. Why can't we or why can't we get turnovers? We got a turnover, so I'm not going to complain about that. Sometimes being in the wrong place at the right place at the right time, it just is. It works out for you for that reason. I'm not going to hold that against Sawyer. I'm going to hold it against us for not scoring, taking the ball at the 30-yard line. That's where I'm going to hold it at on that. Boz is washed. You know what? He's not looked as good this year as he has in the past. Maybe you're right, Jamal. I'm going to have to see more to say that he's washed. But again, Jamal says he barely hits anything over 50 yards. Is Jamal wrong, guys? I don't know. He's not looking great lately. What's going on? And finally, guys, we get the overall. The overall in a Steeler game. I think Mark Malone says F on that. I give the game a D. This game was a D. This game was a D. I'm going to leave it right there. David Weiss says how Terrell Austin has a job is beyond me. Jeremy Olsen, I do want to say what's up to you. He says, worst play of the year. It's like they didn't even try to, right? It's like they don't think down the, again, 4th and 1 in the second quarter on Cleveland's 20. And you throw 25 yards down the field to Scotty Miller over his head. I think choice number 1 is kick the field goal. Choice number 2 is tush push, try to do something like that. A distant third would be throwing the ball 25 yards down the field to Scotty Miller. Again, we kick that field goal. The dynamic of the game is different. And if everything else played out the way that it did, we have them by the balls in the fourth quarter instead of them having us by the balls in the fourth quarter. My game ball. Here you go. Guys, throw up your game ball. My game ball goes to no one other than, and I do say this with great confidence, and I do feel that other players could have been deserving. Alex Highsmith, definitely deserving. A couple other guys I thought as well. But, guys, my game ball today, just for what it is, because I don't think anybody did anything fantastic, I'm giving my game ball to Corliss Waitman. Corliss Waitman, 5 punts, all 5 of them inside the 20-yard line. I don't know if I've ever seen this. I probably have, but I certainly don't remember. Corliss Waitman, our punter, 5 kicks, 203 yards total, averaging 40.6 yards a kick. Guys, all 5 of them were inside the 20-yard line. My game ball of the day yesterday goes to Corliss Waitman. Great job, young man. I think we chose the right punter. I don't think either of the options were bad punters, but you know what? Corliss has done a great job. Congratulations to him. He does get my game ball. Tortilla says Tyrone gets the game ball. You know what, Tyrone? He actually went up there and smelled and had to sit there with all those Cleveland people and smelled that, the Cleveland. So I do also give a game ball to Tyrone as well for getting up to the stadium and dealing with the Cleveland Brown faithful, if you will. Kind of says the way they marched down the field in the last right? Okay, and here's another one, guys. Again, everyone's like, "Oh, let's fix it. Let's do it." Why we couldn't move the ball all game, and then the last 2 minutes, all of a sudden, here we are, right at prime position for the NFL to be once again successful and putting a great game on the TV for you. They couldn't move the ball all game. get down in the red zone. But all of a sudden, with ease, Pat Fryermuth. So again, I don't know. Whatever's going on, I don't know. Corliss certainly did show up, David. I agree 100%. Kenneth says Waitman. Feel the Steel says Tyrone smelled dog shit. David Weiss says move the ball when Fryermuth got. You're right. You're right. Let me kind of just go back down through, and we are going to get into the trivia question of the day here in just one moment. Let me see if I'm going to just kind of go down. Jamal says NFL is so rigged that pass interference on the last play game was flagrant. Also, David Weiss says this. He says a D losing to a 3-win team and a D, no way. That is an F at best. David Weiss says how. Okay, we did get that one. I don't think I missed a whole lot, but I am sure I did, and I do apologize again. Through the rest of the week, I promise I will keep up with every. I don't like to miss a single message on the terrible board, but Mondays can be rough, man. There's a lot going on, and I do apologize. When Bingo says this, watching the Sunday night game was very depressing. Seeing two teams actually capable playing, comparing it to what I saw with a terrible team beating a bad team earlier that day. Kenneth says all of this hinges on a quarterback. Law says we are tired of. Okay, now I think we did get a lot of these guys, and again, I do apologize, and I do read them all, so I won't miss anybody's messages. All right, guys, time to get into it. How well do you know your enemy? How well do you know your opponent? The Baltimore Ravens, guys. This one's for all the marbles on the North Shore Sunday at 8:20, 8:15, whatever it is. Sunday night game, guys. It got flexed to the nighttime because they know what's up. They know this is the game that people want to watch. They know this is one of the bigger rivalries in pro sports, guys. So the question of the day for this Pittsburgh Baltimore Raven: how well do you know your enemy? How well do you know your opponent? Portion of the game goes a little something like this, everybody. Here we go. Put on your thinking caps, everybody at home. Here is the question of the day. The Steelers and Ravens both qualified for the postseason this many times since the year 2000. Guys, since the year 2000, the Ravens and the Steelers both qualified for the playoffs the same exact amount of times. How many times is that? Take a minute to think it over. We're live 5 days a week right here, Monday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. every day right here on the tube. Also, do go check out our website, www.the2dumyinzers.com. That's www.the2dumyinzers.com, guys. Go check it out. A lot of things over there. Mike puts a lot of work into the website. He does his dumb thoughts. Also, all the links for every show, all 878 of our shows, plus much more on there as well. And guys, links to contact us and all kind of other things. Go check out our website at www.the2dumyinzers.com. All right, guys, question of the day goes like this. The Steelers and Ravens both qualified for the postseason this many times since the year 2000. This century, guys, that's what the question is about. How many times the Ravens and Steelers both qualified for the playoffs? Not the same years, but how many times? The number is the same, basically. I don't want to confuse anybody. How many times did the Steelers qualify for the playoffs, and how many times did the Ravens? It's the same number. Is the numbers that I'm looking for. So on the board, Bingo's saying 21 times. David says, I'm glad the game is at home, but I have no confidence we'll win. Also, Vegas says 14 times each. And Tortilla saying 10 times. They're saying the Steelers qualified for the playoffs 10 times since 2000. And the Ravens they've also qualified 10 times since the year 2000. Guys, still time. Throw up your answers on the board. Elham says this: Baltimore Ravens are the original Cleveland Browns, and that's one thing I always makes me laugh. Is the Ravens? I mean, the Browns did win Super Bowls, and you know what? It's just funny because it wasn't anything that the Browns got to enjoy. Matter of fact, it was, against them, or in spite of. So I would have. I really, again, the Browns. What would we do as Steeler fans if you didn't have the Browns? And then again, the fact the Ravens came and did so much better. You gotta love it. You gotta love this division, guys. Guys, one more time. How many times has the Steelers qualified for the playoffs in this century? And the number is the same exact amount of times for the Ravens. What's that number? I got 10 on the board. I got 14 on the board. I got 21 on the board. Guys, the answer is this. For the question, the Steelers and Ravens both qualified for the postseason this many times since the year 2000. 16 times. The Ravens have qualified 16 times, and the Steelers have qualified 16 times for the playoffs since the year 2000 is the answer, guys. Great job, though. Good guesses. But 16 times. I do want to say to everybody, thank you for coming and hang out and check us out today. We certainly appreciate each and every one of you. We truly, honestly do. We wouldn't do it without you guys. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you, everybody on the board. You guys always keep things interesting here on the show. You guys are the lifeblood of the show. I also want to say thank you, everybody at home, whether you're watching it, listening, got your buds, pods, phones, whatever on your ears, whether you're at work, at the gym, wherever you may be. Thank you, too. Let me grab a couple more of these messages as we do get ready to. We're rounding third. We are rounding third, certainly here, guys. On the board, looks like we are all caught up. A few other things. The Pittsburgh Penguins did win yesterday 7-3 over the Chicago Blackhawks. 7-3. They scored a touchdown. We didn't. The hockey team scored a touchdown, and we didn't. Vegas closest without going over. That's true. Vegas did get it. Closest without going over. He sure did. You know what? One more thing. I do want to go through this real quick. Let me just blow through these scores for the day because there was a lot of football, and there's one more tonight, guys. Don't forget, one last game in this week 17. The LA Rams are traveling to the Atlanta Falcons tonight for Monday night. The Rams at the Falcons get a look at who some people are calling the MVP of the NFL this year in Matthew Stafford. Check him out tonight. Again, Monday Night Football. The Rams at the Atlanta Falcons. This is what the scoreboard looked like from yesterday, guys, and we will start to wrap things up here on the show. It looked a little something like this. Yes, they did play some games on Thursday. Yes, they did play some games on Saturday. That's where I'm going to start because we did talk Thursday last week, guys. Saturday. The Texans did beat the Chargers 20-16. Defense looked stifling for that Houston Texans team. Also, the Baltimore Ravens, they run over Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers literally, as Derrick Henry rushes for 200 yards plus, becoming the leader in games that had been ran that had 200 yards rushing by one player. He passed Adrian Peterson and a couple other people. So that happened on Saturday. Yesterday, it looked like this, guys. The Battle of Florida, Miami Dolphins, unbelievable. I don't believe this. They beat Tampa Bay, guys, 20-17, putting Tampa Bay's playoff hopes in a pretty dire position. So again, if you think we have a rough shot, think about that poor Tampa Bay who was sitting underneath the Carolina Panthers in that division. The Patriots blowout win in the division 42-10 over the Jets. The Jaguars come back and beat the Colts. This game, the Colts were up 10-0 early. This what was talking about earlier. Also, the Titans up on the Saints early. Saints come back and win that game 34-26. The Panthers were up on the Seahawks early. The Seahawks come back and win that game. Again, watch the trend on that. A lot of these underdogs, they take big leads early. Keep the game interesting? I don't know. I don't know. Just pay attention. Bengals 37. The Cardinals 14. The Giants 34. The Raiders 10. Last night, a close game on I'm sorry, it wasn't the late game last night, but a game between the Eagles and the Bills. The Philadelphia Eagles win 13-12 over Buffalo. And then the game last night, yes, the 49ers 42, the Bears 38. And again, wrap up week 17 tonight with the Rams at Falcons. And then we'll be back Saturday with week 18, guys, kicking off that last weekend of the season, in which the most important game for us, of course, is Sunday night, where we do host the Baltimore Ravens for all the marbles. It's gonna be live, guys. Again, Pittsburgh Penguins, they did score a touchdown. The Steelers didn't score a touchdown. The Penguins win 7-3. They'll be hosting the Carolina Hurricanes tomorrow at 7 o'clock. The Pitt Panthers followed suit with football here in Pittsburgh over the week as they lose to East Carolina in the Military Bowl 23-17. Again, Pitt loses to East Carolina 23-17 in the Military Bowl. We'll go over the CBS pick'ems tomorrow. Again, I think we want to get the results for the game tonight before we can do that. I think everybody did very well. Except for me, for whatever reason. I struggled this week. I really did. But yes, guys, tomorrow we'll be giving the results on the picks for the week. I don't know. It seemed by the way that RB said it, that might be the last set of picks, but I don't know. I got to look. I haven't been over there. I will check them out, but we'll go over that tomorrow, see who won, see what the standings are overall. But one other thing before we do wrap things up, did anybody see this? I think that movie, there's a movie coming out next November, the John Madden movie. Did you see this? Nicolas Cage is going to be playing John Madden, and Christian Bale is going to be playing Al Davis. Don't get me wrong, I don't like the Raiders, never have, but that's an interest. I mean, if you love football, if you're an NFL guy, November, Nicolas Cage as John Madden, Christian Bale as the owner. What's his name? Yeah, him. It's interesting. It looks good. It looks really good. Looks like it's done. It's going to be done well from what I can see. It looks really good. And Al Davis is what I was thinking of. Tyrone says the game was, or the ride home was depressing last night. I can imagine, man, because it was a ride. You know, you're coming all the way from where you're at to Cleveland, so that would be a depressing ride. I was curled up like a ball. She was driving and singing. It was singing. It was pain. Yeah, I hear that, brother. Thank you, Miss Pittsburgh. You guys were great as always. I truly do believe, and I say that all the time because I do believe that. Phil the Steel says, "Cheers, Watt fans." Going to give my prediction today, and I'm freaking out. I was just right. I was right. Just another bullshit season under Teflon Don. Steelers 2, Ratbirds 3 in the Teflon Don sucks game, guys. Couple things before I do wrap up. Do swing over and check out any of our social media, guys. We are on Facebook. We are on X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and even TikTok. Swing by, hit the like or follow button. Keep up with the two Dum Yinzers are up to on a day-to-day basis. Also, do if you haven't had a chance yet, click that like button down below. Sub, share, even comment if you like. It all helps out in the algorithm. We appreciate it all, guys. Thank you so much for everything. And finally, I do want to say this. If you are, and I'm sure you will be, getting ready to watch this big game on Sunday night between the Steelers and the Ravens, be sure you don't do it without Duquesne Pilsner. Guys, Duquesne Pilsner, the guys over there, they go out of their way to help us out and promote and include us in their promotions and things like that. We want to say give big thank yous out to guys over at Duquesne Pilsner and the gals over Duquesne Pilsner. But this weekend for the big game, do make sure to get your Duquesne Pilsner made right here in Pittsburgh, guys. We always have it right here in the studio. Go get your Duquesne Pilsner, and as it says on the can, grab a Duke, guys. I do think that this is everything. I don't want to forget anything, guys. Pittsburgh Steelers hosting Baltimore Ravens, 8 o'clock Sunday night for Alden Marbles, Week 18. It doesn't get any better than this, guys. Mark Malone engaging all the superstitions before this game. It's critical. That's right. Find your lucky shirts, find your lucky towels, find your lucky everything, your underwear, whatever it may be. Find it. It's all important. We will be the rank now. Let's see, Tyrone. He says this now with 7 games I've been to. Nice. I'm 5-2. I like that. 5-2. Great record, man. We'll take it. I do think that's it, guys. We'll be back tomorrow at our regular time to do it all over again. Again, we'll talk about this Monday Night Football game tonight between the Rams and the Falcons. Excuse me. Also, tomorrow, during the show, Mike Tomlin press conference will be all the important information going right across the bottom of the screen. So we do hope to see everybody tomorrow at our regular time. We're going to do it all over again and try to figure out what it is we got to do heading into this weekend to get into the playoffs. Guys, so much to talk about as this week does go on, and it is New Year's week, so it's kind of going to be a weird week, short week, if you will. But you know what? We're going to be here for it, guys, doing what it is we do. Mark Malone says Derpy will be breaking out Peach's lucky strap-on. I heard Peaches got it. I heard she got a boyfriend. I heard Aunt Peaches, that's what she got for Christmas this year, was one of them boyfriends. That's what I heard. I don't know. I'll look more into that. But again, guys, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. We really, truly, honestly do love all you guys. We hope to see you back tomorrow. We got to figure out what it is that we got to do on our part. They're going to go out and play, but we got to figure out what it is we got to do on our part to get this win for the Steelers on Sunday. guys. Lee Moore, I do want to say welcome at the end here. Lee Moore says fire Tom, and that's, could be an argument just as good as any. Bingo says, I'm sorry, just depressed. Even if we get in, who cares? We'll just lose anyway. It's a lot more to talk about, guys. Again, we'll be back tomorrow at our regular time to do this all over again. We hope to see everybody then. Have a safe Monday. Enjoy this Monday Night Football game tonight, again, between the Rams and the Falcons. Thank you so much, guys. You were awesome as always. Best team in the world right here on this terrible board. I give these guys that, and you know what? I'm sticking to it to the grave, guys. For Derpy, for Finch, for Mike, myself, the two Dum Yinzers. Have a great Monday. Stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.